Welcome everyone. I've got 6 p.m. All please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. This is the Union Township Board of Trustees meeting agenda for April 12th, 2022, 6 p.m. Let the record please show that all 3 trustees are present. Mr. Campbell. And just a quick little welcome. I know I've been hearing this multiple times. Our employees are out there watching this as well, joining the public, and I think that's fantastic. It's an opportunity to kind of get a look ahead, at least where the board is seeing a vision and mission for the township as we kind of continue to move forward. So that's always exciting. And I also want to quickly look back on today's meeting because we're nearly 2-year mark from when COVID shut down the country, and the township then predominantly went to 1 meeting a month. The kind of silver lining there became apparent from residents and employees that it's something that has been extremely well received by the public and employees. And just, early in January, this board coming together was able to add some finality to that and just be bold with the decision that we're going to set that on everyone's schedule so everyone knew exactly when the meetings were. And I know the employees, those up here, and the residents I've heard from, it's still all very well received, positive feedback. So gentlemen, at this time, we're on to approval of minutes. Entertain a motion for the approval of the March 8th, 2022 regular meeting minutes.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion, gentlemen?
No, sir.
Call the roll, Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Gentlemen, at this time, I'll entertain a motion for item 2, March 8th, 2022 zoning meeting minutes.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
No, sir.
Mr. Campbell, call the roll.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. Campbell, do we have any correspondence this evening?
Yes, sir. Tonight I have one. It is for a new liquor permit at City Barbecue LLC, doing business as City Barbecue, 878 Eastgate North Drive and Patio, Union Township, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45246. Mr. Flouty has assured me that they're in compliance with our zoning, and the chief has sent over notes saying that they're okay with the new permit. That concludes the correspondence.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have proclamations and special presentations tonight. At this time, I'd like to welcome Miss Elise French, the Clermont County Public Library a special presentation for the Union Township branch. Miss Elise, welcome.
Hi, thank you all so much for having me tonight. I just wanted to come and take a few minutes of your time. I am Elise French. I am the branch manager at the Union Township location. I have been there 2 years, so I did start March 3rd, right before everything shut down. But now that we're back open and running and everything is back and running, I wanted to come over and talk a little bit about our library services, make sure to highlight the things that we have. Of course, the library is open. We've been open since last year, full hours. I believe actually we opened full hours in 2020 at the very end, towards the end of the year. We did extend our hours on Monday, which means we're now open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Mondays, from noon to 8 p.m. We have branches throughout the county, and we are all connected to each other, and we've recently put in library lockers to add for ease of access for picking up library holds. We're back doing full programming, including our storytime programming. We have book clubs for both adults and teens. We're getting ready to start our Storytime in the Parks program that we're doing along with the Union Township Veterans Memorial Park, which is where our children's librarian goes out and holds story time in Veterans Park. We have tech programs, craft programs, family movie nights, homeschool hangout, and STEAM programs. All of our events are available online, so you can register there and come visit us. We just moved to a new registration software that's really nice. We also have other services. We've been offering at-home COVID tests. Not so many now, but we still have them. We also have notary service, voter registration, Golden Buckeye card registration, and we offer meeting rooms. And then we have, of course, our streaming services, ebooks, printing, scanning, faxing, Wi-Fi, including Wi-Fi in the parking lot if we're not open, and then, of course, books. So I just wanted to come in, introduce myself, let everyone know that we are back open and ready for business, and we hope to see anyone there. I'm going to stay for hopefully the most of the meeting, so if you see me afterwards, I have bookmarks with our hours and other services. I also have our newsletters and my business cards. Please don't hesitate to come in and see us. I'm there almost all the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Elise.
Yeah, Miss Elise, my kiddos, I got a 7-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son, and they've been to your story time at the branch several times. It's really good. Appreciate what you guys do, very much. Yeah, very much, thank you.
All right, gentlemen, at this time, we're into, I believe, our second month here of the Union Township Years of Service Recognition Program for April 2022. So without further ado, the employees that are here too, we'll ask that we like to recognize them and have them stand up. And again, like I said, bear with us. We're still figuring out exactly how we want the legs to get under this for, introducing with the employees and getting a photo. But Mr. Matthew Taylor, please rise so we may all acknowledge you. Union Township Service Department, 25 years of service, April 9th, 2022. 20?
He loves the attention, look at him.
Well, keep you standing there for a second longer. So the 25 years of service is commemorated with an appreciation gift. And Mr. Taylor, you took an email survey not too long ago that got to what your interests are. And so, we're all big on technology and data integration. And so the survey and the black box put out that you like family time and getting out with your family and being adventurous. And this is a cooler backpack pack that has I think in case of emergency, you break a window with it, but it's also a little bit of a bottle opener, I believe there. But it's embroidered with Union Township and Matt Taylor, 25 years, outstanding service.
Thank you.
So. You're welcome to head on down. I'll pull everyone around. And Mike Ayers, where's Mike's?
Hey, Mike.
Mike today is with the Union Township Service Department also and celebrating 15 years of service, and that was April 10th, 2022. Mike? Junior, we'll head all down and grab a quick photo with the team. I'll grab my phone in case we need that.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Mike, congratulations.
Thank you.
It's really incredible, all the work the employees do. Gentlemen, I'll take the time to share this little piece of data I pulled just recently. For the year of 2021, between police, fire, and the service department, there was just over 20,000 hours of overtime. 20,000 hours of overtime. So I just want to recognize all of our employees because they're picking that up on their back, basically. That's 20,000 hours of overtime that's not necessarily always planned for, that is time away from their family. Yes, there's a pro con there of a lot of individuals like to pursue and get that overtime, but I think as a board, we always kind of keep that in perspective. And then also just the value that you guys represent and the team here at Union Township, what we represent. Because 20,000 hours, I don't know how that compares to other jurisdictions, but something we'll probably learn more about in the future. So just want to share that. So
Just wanted to say real quick,
Please, yeah.
Mr. Taylor, thank you. 25 years here with Union Township, and, you know, we know that you could probably go anywhere you wanted to with all your years of experience, and just know that you're loved, you're appreciated, and, you know, he heads up the department. If there's a pothole, if there's snow plowing, if there's any unappreciative job, he's the one that heads that up, and he does it with a smile on his face. He's always positive. I don't think I've ever encountered you with a negative attitude, and just know that you're appreciative, brother, and I hope you stay here for as many years as you'd like and retire here, and you're appreciative very much. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. And Mike, Mr. Ayers, 15 years. Thank you, brother. I know you could go anywhere. Same thing. And I hope you enjoy here being Union Township. Thank you for being an employee here. And just know that we want to recognize you and just, you know, hang that plaque up, that award up in your house, and know that we love you and appreciate you as well very much. Thank you for being here, my friend. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Joe. All right, gentlemen, moving on. We've got an exciting one tonight. Union Township Police Department Drug Unit Seizure Presentation by Chief Scott Gaviglia. I'm excited about this. I was talking with some of the local some of our detectives in the last several weeks, and was just stating, as you've heard me say in the past, it'd be great to show some more of what we are doing and what we keep on accomplishing. So thank you very much, Chief. The floor is yours.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Logue. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've heard me read the last couple trustees meetings, I've been going over how much seizures we've had with numbers that I haven't seen in my 25 years here. Union Township goes through cyclical drug abuse like most communities, but I think we're intercepting much more of that now. I think we're getting better at it. So I wanted to take a few minutes and highlight some of the work the Union Township Police Department does in conjunction with the Clermont County Narcotics Unit. Just want to take a few minutes. I have some pictures up here, nothing out of bounds, and I think you'll enjoy it. All right, so the Union Township Police Department obligates 2 officers to the Clermont County Drug Unit, CCNU. The CCNU is administered by the Clermont County Sheriff. It's operated on a grant. CCNU is multi-jurisdictional unit, and the unit is staffed by officers from several departments in Clermont County. Union Township obligates 2 officers, and that's the most of the other jurisdictions. Just a quick special thanks to Sheriff Leahy, Chief Deputy Stratton for overseeing this agency and making it a priority in the county, and a special thanks to Lieutenant Nick DeRose, who's in charge of the unit. So I'll just go over a few of the cases here with some of the numbers and money that are a little unusual. On January 2nd, 2022, Union Township patrol officer stopped a vehicle for a traffic violation. Subsequent investigation assistance from the Clermont County Narcotics Unit yielded the following recovery. 76 grams of methamphetamine, which is unusual to see it in that bulk amount on the road. What you see on TV, or like the show The Ozark or some of that other stuff, right? You see kind of the beginning or the end product. We catch it in transit, right? We catch it in distribution mode. So it's unusual to see some of these numbers. 28 grams of heroin, 7.6 grams of fentanyl, which is another whole separate problem, and $344 in currency. So this is normal transportation of methamphetamine, right? It's clear, it's white, and this is how it's normally transported. However, it's unusual to see it in this type of bulk or this type of amount. Usually you see it in the little nickel bags or wrapped up in some saran wrap. The heroin has a brownish tint, and again, this is a large amount of heroin that's in any one place. You normally only see little bits and pieces of it. When I was a patrolman here in 1997, I went 3 years before I made a heroin arrest here. It just wasn't around. Unfortunately, heroin's a cyclical drug that currently has us by the teeth. On 1/24 of the same month, Clermont County Narcotics Unit, UTB K9, recovered the following evidence from an ongoing investigation. 57 pounds of marijuana, which is an incredible hit for just road patrol officers. 5 pounds of solid hashish, which is marijuana on steroids, kind of, for those of you that pay attention. 114 grams of liquid hashish. Those are the vape carts, right? And the vapes are real popular right now, and it's posing a challenge to law enforcement. You know, what's a cherry-flavored vape and what's out of bounds? 180 psychophobe and mushroom candy bars, 304 edibles, one shotgun, $1,350 in currency. We're seeing more of the edibles and the psychedelic mushrooms in food form. It's kind of the new craze now. I saw an advertisement on TV last night as I was watching Sports Center for kind of some of the stuff, and I was surprised how mainstream some of this has gotten. So that's a lot of marijuana, right, in any one case. Now, remind you, this isn't just out of some large investigation. This is road patrol officers and Clermont County narcotics unit officers doing their day-to-day jobs. And that's the full seizure from there. That's a lot of marijuana. On February this year, road patrol officers, K-9 officers stopped a vehicle leaving a local motel. Based on that traffic stop investigation, a subsequent search warrant and assistance from the Clermont County narcotics unit yielded the following: 15 grams of methamphetamine, 24 grams of fentanyl. We got to see fentanyl a little bit more, but this was a bigger cash hit. So $11,000 in cash. You tend to see cash more associated with marijuana. The deals move a lot quicker. There's less middle people. When you're methamphetamine and fentanyl, when you hit that kind of number, you've hit home, right? Because usually the lower level dealers don't have any money. It's pass-through service. So this was a good stop, and it yielded big results. It's a little bit of the methamphetamine. That's normally how it's transported, just wrapped up in a little itty-bitty saran wrap bag or something, some wax paper, and just stuffed in a pocket. It's easy to miss. And if you want to know what $11,000 looks like all laid out, here you go. We have a lot of cooperation with our hotels. We have a hotel-motel interdiction unit, and we have a lot of transient individuals. As you know, the hotels on the south side are directly off the interstate, so we struggle there sometimes, but the local owners are working with us, and I think we're making an impact. This was an ongoing investigation that occurred just last month. It was a joint investigation with UT Road Patrol doing interdiction, K-9 unit, pardon the typo there, I'm sorry, and CCNU yield on the following evidence: another 33.5 pounds of marijuana, 3,900 liquid vapes, 13.4 pounds of solid hashish. I've never seen that much hashish in my 28-year career, never mind in one location. 96 edibles, a handgun, and $52,000 in U.S. currency. Again, this was a really big hit through the investigation, just the poundage, the hashish, and the currency. The street value was based on approximately $300,000 of items we took out, and some of the pictures of that. I won't say exactly where, but this was recovered out of a storage unit based on a simple traffic stop. So when you see officers making traffic stops, right, it's not always about someone running a red light or someone, driving a little too quick. There's more to it that meets the eye sometimes. When I go over these reports each month, you'll see that we make a number of traffic stops, yet we only issue about quarter citations. And we do that because we want to really target the aggressive driving that can get people hurt. The other folks, we can give a warning, but in every one of these stops, it's an investigative stop, right, to try and keep the drugs out of the township. That's more of the marijuana and the hashish. And I think that concludes all I have. And that's the $52,000 all laid out, and that was out of the recovery of a storage unit. Storage units are popular, right? They're very anonymous. If you own a storage unit and you haven't been there in a couple months, do yourself a favor, drive by there, make sure it's still your lock on your storage unit. It may not be. People sometimes go years without checking their storage unit, and other people pay attention to this. So the total items seized: 91 grams of methamphetamine, 28 grams of heroin. This is the grand total out of those 4 cases. 31.5 grams of fentanyl, 18.5 pounds of hashish, which is simply a remarkable number, 91 pounds of marijuana, 5,300 liquid vapes, 480 edibles, $65,000 in currency, 1 shotgun and 1 handgun. So that was just some of the highlights that Union Township Road Patrol is doing with directed patrol, the hotel motel intervention, our K-9 team, and of course the CCNU. Thank you, gentlemen.
That's great.
Thank you, Chief. That's fantastic. I mean, as far as the stops there and the coordination, collaboration, but also appreciate the presentation, seeing that, sharing that with the public. I firmly believe we can always do better at, communicating the positive actions within the township. And your presentation right there, it's just simply one tool that we have to be able to communicate more to the public. So I really appreciate that, so thank you.
Great, thank you,
Great
sir.
work.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Just a question.
Yes, sir.
Chief, what happens to all that? The cash, the drugs, the guns, what happens to all that?
The drugs and the weapons will be destroyed. The cash is seized and split. Some of it goes to victim compensation fund. We have a great relationship with the sheriff's department, and sometimes we split the money, sometimes we buy equipment. So we're able to put it to good use.
Fair enough, yeah. Thanks, Chief.
Thanks,
Well
sir.
done, thank you. And give our best to those officers that did that.
I will. Thanks,
Great
sir.
work, great work.
All right, gentlemen. At this time, we'll continue with Union Township Police, but we've got a very special, long-awaited, I'll say, presentation on uniforms. Lieutenant Anthony Reese, Union Township Police.
Make use of the microphone.
Good evening, everybody. I want to thank the board for affording me a few minutes, and I will be brief, to talk to you all about, to do a presentation for a recommended change in uniform for the police department. To give you a little historical perspective, the police department has not changed uniforms, at least from a color scheme perspective, since 1992 under Chief Miller. At that time, we had the baby blue, the powder blue shirts and gray pants. And at that time, we switched to our current uniform, which is the white shirt, navy blue pants. What we're recommending, if Officer Koza wants to come on up, what we're recommending is a change to a navy blue uniform shirt and external vest carrier. If they look familiar, most of the departments in the area over the last 5 years or so have transitioned to this color scheme. CPD, Cincinnati Police Department, is in it, and a lot of the local county departments have gone to the same color scheme. And what I'd like to come at you from the aspect of two issues here that we're talking about when we talk about a need to maybe make this change. The first one, and probably the most important, is an officer safety issue. Quite frankly, with the white uniform shirts, which is what you see here, our night shift officers particularly are at a disadvantage. The white really silhouettes them, really makes them a target, and unfortunately, our night shift officers on a daily occasion are making high-risk traffic stops, dealing with felony warrant services, dealing with responding to crimes of violence. And at night, particularly, these officers need to take a tactical, stealth-like approach, and it's just, quite frankly, it's hard to do it with a white uniform on. They really stand out. So we're looking to potentially change that. The second issue that we're coming at you from is more of a maintenance standpoint. I'm going to grab the white shirt here. If you notice with these white shirts, over the years, and in my 25 years here, we've been through several different dry cleaners. That's never really been a difference. Over the years, the chemicals of cleaning these shirts, they really give it a dull look. It goes from a bright white to a graying effect, a darker shirt. They just look kind of dingy. And to be honest with you, they're very hard to keep clean. You know, food stains, blood stains, dirt, everything that these officers are dealing with every day. Right down to the seatbelt that we use in the cruisers. A lot of times they create this black greasy effect along the button line. And then our external carriers, with our black leather that we polish up a lot, the white external carriers really start to get this white ring around them, and they really look unsightly. Yep. So I think the navy blue would give us a more professional, crisper, cleaner look. And I'd be lying if I didn't tell you that, you know, the navy blue gives it's a slimming effect. You know, we have some officers that are bigger. I'm getting a little bigger the older I get, and the blue, I think the officers like the idea of blue and that slimming effect. And I think that if you polled our officers, overwhelmingly, they would love to be in the navy blue. A couple of advantages if we do change to the navy blue. First of all, we won't be required to change our pants at all. The current pants that we have now match the color scheme perfectly, as you can see, Officer Kozo. These are the pants that we currently wear now. They match just perfectly with the color scheme. Our coats, you see one of my coats over there, our navy blue coats again. We wouldn't have to change our winter coats. They match the color scheme perfectly. The hats, CPD stuck with their white hats, Cincinnati Police. Our white hats, I think you would agree, they work just fine with the navy blue. We wouldn't have to change the hats. And most importantly are the patches. You know, we worried we would have to change the patch altogether, which would be a costly venture. I think, as you can see, this is our current patch. in my opinion, it blends in just perfectly. I think it looks really good. It pops with the navy blue, and we've already got it on our navy blue coats. So at the end of the day, if we were to make this change, the only thing we're talking about is a short sleeve uniform shirt, a long sleeve uniform shirt for our winter uniform, and an external carrier. Obviously, multiple for each officer would be the only thing we would require if we changed our uniform. Certainly available in any questions that you might have, and we appreciate any consideration that you might give to that change. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Reese. I've got just a short comment. Look, I love supporting our officers. I'm aware, I verbally polled the officers, and Navy won. I think we got a Navy veteran in here too, so I gotta say this, go Navy, beat Army. But seriously though, gentlemen, I'll open the floor to you, but before moving forward on next steps or acquisitions, if that's where your interest lies, I do want the staff to, I've been researching over the last several weeks the Attorney General's grant. It's my understanding that it will provide more funding than our prior use of the DOJ grants. And that the color change presents not only the opportunity to give the officers a color that they want, but more comfort and capability, because there's, what you're looking at there is you described the officer, the vest carrier, but there are more professional vests, which people, historically have thought are militaristic, but there's more professional vests now that, again, anyone's been down the range running or doing anything, running and gunning, there's stuff that zips up and is more professional with pockets, and other departments use it. So if you've ever been under the vest in the heat and you want to quickly pop something off, so I just want to look at the officer's comfort and capability that we can also add, because you do get the benefit to be able to pull some of the ancillary gear off the belt and get it up on the vest a little bit as well too. So albeit a leadership decision there, but the primary thing with the safety on that is the gun and magazines can stay on the belt, so the officer's training and that muscle memory is always right there to the belt where their gun is at, and that's the primary go-to. So, but just my sense of background on it, just to share and open it to the board. And thank you very much for this presentation. This is, I think it looks very sharp. Just the color scheme as it is.
Thank you.
Completely recognize everything that you state with the white. So over to you, Joe, John.
Yeah. Lieutenant Reese, appreciate you very much, and you make a fine model, my friend. So I have asked, double digits officers, hey, what's a couple things that you would change with the police department? And hands down, the number one answer I get is our uniforms. And they hate white, and they would like a darker color uniform. The dark navy blue works, I get it. And to put in perspective, I'm still in the Air Force Reserves. We wear what's called OCPs. It's a dark camouflage. It's the exact same thing the Army wears. I could not imagine going into battle with a white suit. That to me just seems silly and doesn't make common sense at all. And so the same thing, if our officers are patrolling, not only just your daily functions of you brush up against a car, now you got dirty, stands out, someone that's whatever, you got blood all over you. I mean, it's frustrating with white. I hear the complaints. I agree with it. It makes sense. It just does. And the fact that Cincinnati Police Department, our surrounding township police departments do it, why don't we do it if it makes sense and everyone else agrees with it? Why don't we do it? So, Lieutenant Reese, appreciate you this presentation. You have my full support on this, and so we'll call for a vote. Mr. Lowe will call for a vote maybe next meeting, but you got my full support, 100%. That's what the police want. I agree with it, and it's just the top shirt and the top vest and nothing else makes sense. I like it, and I support the police, so I'm for it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
Yeah, I just have a question. So the rank and file, do they in support of this change? By and large?
They are. We've polled them before. Overwhelming majority would prefer to be in the navy blue.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Great question. Great comments. Great support. Thanks for really digging in on that. All right, gentlemen. Let's see here. We've got over to Trustee Becker. on the Union Township property tax allocation presentation.
Okay. See if I get this to work. So first off, I have never created a PowerPoint presentation. So the one I did, wrong button. The one I did the last month, I actually did all the graphs and put it together, or just sent it to Mr. Wright, and he was the one that put together the PowerPoint. And of course, I have PowerPoint as part of my office package. I'm an Excel guy. I've never really had much need for PowerPoint. Any graphs, I just do in Excel, which for the last presentation, that's what I did. And for this presentation, they were also made in Excel. But anyway, so what I wanted to talk about tonight was, I've heard a lot of complaints about property taxes. Of course, there was, 3 reasons for that, or 4. We had a fire levy, we had a police levy, we had a school levy, and, 4 reasons, and it was a 6-year revaluation year by the county auditor. So this quadruple whammy all came together at the same time. A lot of people had a lot of, words that I can't repeat, describing their property taxes. Well, one of the questions that came up, I think will be of interest to the audience here, is, so when I get my property tax bill, which looks like, I know you can't read that, but this is, I think everybody's familiar with the property tax bill you get from their county auditor. In the middle section that I highlighted up there, it's called current tax distribution. So it's just a breakdown, and in my case anyway, this is there's 5 categories. There's Clermont County, Union Township, West Clermont Local School District, Great Oaks Joint Vocational School, and the Public Library. So what I wanted to do is put together some slides to show kind of that distribution of, kind of in a graphical format. So the question I'm answering is, where do my tax dollar, my real estate property tax dollars, where does that money go? And I got, I think about 4 slides on this. So the answer to the question, it depends on where you live. So this first slide, or this first graph, is if you live in the West Clermont School District. So of your property tax bill, 60% of it goes to West Clermont Schools, 27% of it goes to Union Township, and I'm going to drill down on that pie wedge. 9% goes to Clermont County, 3% to Great Oaks, and 1% to the library. Now on Clermont County, I did drill down, I don't have a slide on that, but I did drill down on it a little bit. And those dollars go to developmental disability, mental health, senior services, the county parks, and administration. Go to the next slide. This one, so first off, before I go to the next slide, West Clermont and Batavia schools are very similar. I didn't do a separate one on Batavia. This one's if you live in Milford. And if you live in the Milford School District, this probably won't surprise you. You're paying a whole lot more. And I'm not making a judgment here if you're getting a good value or not. I'm just giving you numbers. Milford schools, it's costing you 67%. So that's a little bit more, 2/3 of all your property taxes goes to Milford schools if you live in the Milford School District. And then that reduces the percentages of all the other areas. So I'm going to flip back and forth again. So you can see that's West Clermont schools and Milford schools. It is quite a difference. So on this next chart, and I know you can't read any of this, I'm just kind of walk you through it. So I got kind of curious. So of all of the area school districts, looking at just the property taxes, and this is based on the tax rates, and the rates I got from the county treasurer's office. The first 2 are Goshen and Clermont Northeast. And I have those in red because I want to point out it's really not a fair comparison. Initially, I wasn't going to have them on the chart because technically this is correct that of the property tax dollars, these 2 are the lowest. What the chart doesn't tell you is that both of these school districts have an income tax. So if you live in those school districts, you're paying an earned income tax out of your wages in addition to the property taxes. So moving along, the next 2 blue bars, which are relatively low, is New Richmond and then Williamsburg. The purple bar in the middle, that one is West Clermont. So as you can see, it's pretty much in the middle of the area here. Very close to that, as I said earlier, was the Batavia schools. It's slightly higher, but not a whole lot more. And the one next to that is Forest Hills, because I guess I've heard for a long time that the Forest Hills School District is very expensive. And so I got that data actually from the Hamilton County Auditor's Office, looking at their tax rates. And frankly, it's not all that expensive relative to, say, Loveland and Milford. So the green one at the very end is Milford. It is the highest of all of them around, but the Loveland is fairly close to it. So that's how your school districts are looking for is your property taxes. Again, I'm not casting any values here on, or judgments on whether you're getting a good deal from your school system or not. Just telling you these are where your property taxes are going.
And John, for Forest Hills is Anderson, correct?
Yes.
Correct, okay.
So this last slide I have, this is the drill down on the Union Township piece of the pie. So 25% roughly, again, depending on which school district you're in, 25% of your property taxes go to Union Township. So how do we spend your property tax dollars? And I'm really proud of myself with the color scheme here. I did red for fire and EMS. I did blue for police. I've been patting myself on the back for weeks now. So yeah, 44% is fire EMS. It's almost the same as police. 45%. You had a pretty nice police report up here tonight telling you how your dollars are being spent. I can tell you, I like what I'm hearing. The yellow wedge is roads, and just coming out of winter and all of the snow that was removed and potholes filled and such. I would think actually it would be more than that, so I think we're getting a pretty good deal there. And then that gray wedge, the smallest piece of it, that's 4%, and that's administration and other. So that would include parks, cemetery, zoning, anything we're throwing additional funds into, and the administrative cost. So that's where we are spending your money in Union Township. So any questions on township expenses? See us. Any questions on school district expenses? See your school board. That, gentleman, concludes my update.
Thank you, Trustee Becker. I really like that aspect of being able to show where $1 goes, and you effectively communicating that with this graph. And again, we can always do better to continue to communicate more and more. So, first iteration of things to come. I think this is fantastic. You make the comment on the roads. We've got our conversation later on that, but with the consumer price increases, inflation that's going on, cost of road repair is getting, going up just the same, but at the same rate in years prior, the road repair cost, and we could pull the data and go look at it, but it has been in the $250,000 to $350,000 range. I think we're going to be nearly twice that this coming year. And but to 1.2, I've heard from several residents about the roads, as we all do often. It's one of the most vital, most important things. Transportation, drives economic development at the same rate. When you hear from a resident that the road got paved all the way down to the last 10 feet, but the last 10 feet wasn't on the list for whatever reason, it's, we got to do better than that. So I think we can get it fixed, and we can make sure that we don't have those type of situations fall short on those type of scenarios. So we can provide more to the residents. So thank you for the presentation. Absolutely great. Continue to move us forward. Unless, Joe, do you have any comments?
That's good. Thank you, Mr. Becker.
All right, gentlemen, at this time, do we have any comments from the public? Sir, please. If you please state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Melvin DeWitt, 3902 Banks Road. I'm here this evening representing the Union Township Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association. Saturday, the 9th, we assisted the police with the drug take-back. We had about 14 people that assisted, some of us the entire time and some of us not so much. A lot of those were the most recent graduates of the Citizen Police Academy. This organization could not exist without the leadership and the encouragement of Lieutenant Rees. Within Lieutenant Rees, you have an extraordinary, real leader. And because of that, we are able to help with situations such as the drug take-back And we did have a little assistance from the fire department as well. And we're glad to do this sort of thing, whether it's that or whether it's the police night out toward the end of the summer there. But we thank you for this chance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Actually, I was going to jump straight ahead on one thing, too. I had some comments I prepared. I'm happy to see you here, because I wanted to say it was during the police department report, but, thank you to the Citizens Police Academy alumni for the hard work at the Crime Stoppers drug drop-off and paper shred. And I noted that you had collected 68 pounds of prescription drugs and narcotics. So, thank you. We appreciate you, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeWitt. Appreciate you very much. Thank you.
You're all welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to point out also that I am a graduate of the Union Township Citizens Police Academy. I highly recommend it. I really enjoyed my experience there. It was an eye-opener, quite a learning experience. Tonight's presentation is quite a eye-opener. I'm learning all kind of stuff and seeing things I've never seen before, which I guess is a good thing. So thank you, Mr. DeWitt.
Any more public comment?
John McGraw, 4604 Blainfield, and I want to thank the board for letting me have a minute to speak. Just want to talk a little bit about, Mr. Becker, you put together a debt analysis, and I appreciate you making that presentation and putting some information out. I think it brings about greater understanding. But I feel that the full context of the debt was not reported on, and it takes away important information the residents need to know. So I know before you came into office, you had a big concern about the debt. That was one of the campaign issues you brought up a lot. And number being thrown around was like, 40% of our budget was going to debt. So I'm glad to hear in your presentation that, you've studied that more, understand it better, and also came to understand how the bond anticipation notes work better. And so I'm glad all that is been worked through. So I think the current way of funding the debt makes sense, and I think for now, I think that's a good course to follow. This is all part of the township's $72 million budget process. And Mr. Logue, I'm not quite sure, you've mentioned a couple times that you want to have the administrator put together a budget, which is a great idea, but Mr. Geis did that every year for us, so maybe you can expand upon that, what you'd like to see more of in that budget presentation. But, we always got that budget. But when you look at our total debt, 68% of the debt, as you presented, was mainly for the Civic Center and then a few other buildings, and I think they bought a fire truck at the time and a few other things. So, 3.9% interest is basically the rate that the bonds that we pay on. It's a really good interest rate. And because of that, Union Township also has one of the highest bond ratings for a government agency. So our finances are really good, and that's why we get that great rate, because the township has great finances, and I'm sure you guys will carry that on, and that helps keep that rate low. So, but something you do have to police. You have to look at it every year and see what's going to happen. But I did want to point out that right now, that debt on the Civic Center is around almost $23 million. So 40% of the township budget goes to that debt, but at the same time, it counts for a lot of the revenue that comes in too, because each year the bonds are sold, that revenue comes into the budget, and then it goes right back out when we buy the next set of bonds. So it looks like on paper you're paying out $23 million, but really it's a pass-through. So I just want to make sure that was clear to everybody. So when you take out that part of the total budget, our budget's around $50 million or so for the township. And the debt payments is around $3.5 million, and it's about 7% of the total budget when you have to pay out each year towards debt. But I'm going to say the actual debt payments is really around 2.9%. You're going to say, well, how do you come up with that number? So I just want to point out, this is the part that was kind of left out of the presentation. I just want to make sure with a new board and a new administrator that some of this is understood and looked at closer. Mr. Loeb probably has a better understanding of it. One of the debts is Mount Carmel Brewing. That's an economic development project. Mount Carmel Brewing pays that entire debt. They finance the debt. The township makes interest off of that. At the same time, that was a TIF project, so there's TIF funds coming in, and it was a JED, so there's also JED funds coming in from Mount Carmel Brewing. So that total economic development project brings in positive revenue to the township. Then there was 3 school-related projects that's in the debt package. One was the McMahon Road bus area, the McMahon Road private area, and also the Ferguson EPOP, or the Eastgate Professional Office Park. Now, those 3 projects are all funded by TIF dollars from the Echelon, which is the apartments over there on Glen Estee, Withamsville. So normally in a TIF, we have to make the schools whole. But we made an arrangement with West Clermont that they would give us the entire amount of the TIF for these projects. So we're getting all the TIF money for the Echelon, and also the new apartments that are next door. I forget the name of the next set. But both those projects are TIFs, and all those dollars come to Union Township to pay for those office buildings and the bus area. But also the McMahon Road has a private area that's leased out. So we actually have positive income because we're leasing out the property to private companies, and that money's coming into the township also. The same with the office park over at Eastgate. The building's almost fully leased, so the township's making money off the lease payments. It's paying for the building, plus we're getting money from the Echelon to go towards that project. So when you look at paying those debts, there is a debt on our books, but there's income and revenue coming in to pay for those. So when you boil it down, like I said before, your total debt that comes out, mainly paying for this building, is around 2.9% of the total budget. So really, you're in great financial shape as long as we keep on that path. But I just want to point that out. The smallest debt is the new firehouse, which is a real small amount. You could probably even pay that off if you felt like it. So I just wanted to point all that out. Also, an important thing was, why did we build a bus garage and why did we get this office building? Well, a lot of that was in exchange for getting the Glen Estee property, because the bus garage used to be on the Glen Estee property, and so did some of these offices that were at the Glen Estee High School. So eventually, you're going to close on the Glen Estee property, should be soon, I think. And there's going to be a big amount of cash once that property sells coming to the township as well. So I just want to point that out. So when you look at the debt, you have to look at the revenue side of it too as a whole package. And I think it's important for the new board members and also the new administrator to understand that there's a lot more to that than just looking at the debt on the thing. And I think the best way to see that is through the audit reports, because it reports all the income for each thing. So I would definitely spend time reading through the CIC audits and the township audits, because that explains all that. So I just want to point that out and take a few minutes, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGraw.
Thank you.
Like to comment on that?
Let me see if there's any, yeah, we can make a quick conversation. Yeah, please.
Oh, thank you, Mr. McGraw, for that. That's a lot of good, helpful information. What I'm planning to get into, first off, Mr. Campbell and I have been working closely on all of these numbers. What I'm planning to do next month, I'm still gathering the information, which is why I don't typically announce it in advance, because if I run into a glitch or I'm not comfortable with the data that I understand what I'm doing, I'm just not going to do it. What I'm working on is putting together for actually next month a presentation on our budget. I don't intend to go into the kind of detail you just went into by property. I mean, that's helpful, that's good information. But more, I'm going to try to keep it just high level. These are the income, these are the expenses. That was something Mr. Campbell and I had talked about was, those debt ratios. And, and what it comes down to is if you're doing government accounting or if you're doing cost accounting. And the government accounting, that's the stuff we put out on the website. And you sit there and do the quick math and you come up with a number like 40%. Well, as you pointed out, 40% doesn't tell the entire story. But when all you're looking at is one chart, that's the only information you have. And so, we talked about some different numbers, and we went through and, did some equalization, doing like a management report. And I think a number we came up with, instead of 40%, if you're doing management accounting, it's closer, I think it was, I want to say it was like 7.5%, I think is a number we came up with for a debt ratio. So no, it doesn't appear to be in any kind of dire situation. But I'll tell you the one, I was going to save this comment, I'll just say it now, though, for end of the meeting, the board discussion. But at the last meeting, I was talking about the LIBOR rates. The LIBOR rate is going up rapidly. It was, at the last meeting, it was 2.28. As of today, that LIBOR rate is, no, I'm sorry, the last meeting was 1.38. Today it is 2.28. So that's a 65% increase in 1 month in the LIBOR rate. Well, the reason that's important, because when the LIBOR, and Mr. McCall was talking about that $23 million bond anticipation note, when the LIBOR gets in the neighborhood of like 3.9, we're going to have an issue with refinancing that bond every year. So what we think is going to happen is this refinance is in August. Doesn't look like that's going to be a problem. The following August looks like that's going to be a problem. But, you know, we're going to just have to see what the rates do. And the LIBOR rate does track more or less with the Fed funds rate or the prime rate. So just kind of watching what the Fed funds is doing gives you an idea what the LIBOR is doing.
Thank you, Mr. Becker. Mr. Dills.
Mr. McGraw, you put a lot of time into that, and I appreciate you presenting that. Mr. Campbell is very knowledgeable, and I'm knowledgeable, but not on the near level as Mr. Campbell, and I believe Ms. Ayers as well, with her knowledge with accounting and the legal aspect as well. So I know we're in good hands. But I will say this, you know, I'm absolutely okay as a trustee to help businesses grow, to help businesses come into our township. I'm okay with that. I'm not okay, though, as a government entity going up and buying up a lot of property. I'm not okay with it. I believe in capitalization. I believe in free market. I believe in democracy. And I don't like the fact that we can use our tax dollars willy-nilly and spend them to spend and buy up property and outbid, you know, so-and-so investor. Case in point is the Ivy Point property, the one that you talked about.
Ferguson.
On Ferguson Drive. And it's right across the parking lot from the Clermont Chamber. As a trustee, I would not have been okay with that. Yes, we're making rental income, but we spent $3 million of the taxpayers' money without input, without anything. And I believe in capitalization. I believe in free market. I believe in business. I believe in liberty and freedom. I don't believe that government should come in and allow themselves to bully out another investor and spend more money of the taxpayers' money, you know, and we can go in and spend the residents' money without their say. And that's just one example. I'm okay with assisting, and I'm okay if a big business wants to come in and we can try to help. I'm okay with that, but what I'm not okay is buying up property as a government entity. I think that takes out capitalization, and that takes out free market. And if I have an investor that wants to buy up property here, and then here we as a township comes in and says, nope, we're going to outbid you and spend the taxpayer money to buy that property, I'm not okay with that. Even if that means that we get a return on our investment from rental income or to sell it a couple years down the road to get income, we're not in the business of doing business. I mean, and if I had to give a definition of government, what's the purpose of government? It's to protect our inalienable rights. Life, liberty, and property. That's what it says in Declaration of Independence. Anything outside of that is becoming government overreach. And so, for me personally, in the next 4 years, hold me accountable, hold my feet to the fire. I'm okay with assisting businesses coming into our township. I'm okay with that. I get that. We have to compete with other townships. But what I'm not okay with is us going up and buying up property and then renting it out, and we can outbid another investor. I'm not okay with that, and I hope that the folks can see why my reason is for that. Government is not supposed to be big and have overreach and just go out and spend taxpayer money just to go spend it for a ROI on rent. That's my personal belief, and maybe the next election folks can hold my feet to the fire. But don't get that mistaken, though. I'm okay with assisting businesses coming in to our township. I get that. That has to happen sometimes, you know. But I'm not okay with us going out and spending taxpayer money to go and buy up property so we can hold that and then try to rent it out for a profit and/or sell it for a profit. We're not in the business of profitability. That's called capitalization, is what that's for. So that's just my personal opinion. If these guys disagree with me, that's okay. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But that's just my personal opinion, so.
Hey, thank you. So gentlemen, I'll kind of close out here. This is, phenomenal opportunity to really just reiterate some things that I've said, publicly, but this exact scenario is the example as to why there needs to be a strategic plan, an annual strategic plan that we operate to. It encounters everything from what you're talking about. It encounters everything from what you're talking about, the LIBOR rates. It incorporates what was brought up, a township administrator's operating budget. I'm not saying something that gets presented just to the board for the board's eyes only. And on that note, I only ever saw a hard copy of something once, so if there's an annual deliverable, I've checked my emails, it is not there. What I am talking about is a product that is presentation material to the community that summarizes what the township administrator's annual operating budget is for and why. Executive summary, some of the charts, some of the figures that goes into saying this is how we are structuring our capital. This is what we are doing. Miami Township has a great example of that. They're about 77 pages deep. Colerain Township has a great example of that. And they've gone to a new platform where they're kind of doing more social, digital positioning of it to communicate. And finally, it highlights the need for the transition plans because it is phenomenal, and I welcome the public comment. But that's exactly that. That's a public comment. That's an unplanned part to, per se, have us up to speed on something. But there was not a formal deliverable left behind for you, for myself, for you, in regards to here's the financial picture. Here's the township administrator's annual operating budget that they're executing to, and this is our trend line, this is our goals, this is where we're at. So we're still looking at that. We're still looking at how we can do better to improve, and I think we're all on the same page there. From what I'm hearing you state, it's just as I said earlier, I believe we can do better to communicate the positive news of the township, and I believe that we can take those steps to do that. And Mr. Dills, you bring up that great point to kind of dig into the Ferguson case. I've seen, the letter that was to the Board of Trustees, just basically in summary, very short, stating a business came to the township, say, there is a building that's being sold, it's privately listed, I need help closing the gap. Couple $100,000, need help closing the gap. The end result was the township bought that building at full price without the business's knowledge that was trying to pursue it. So the township now inserted itself into a private competition, basically, with confidential business information, bought it for full price, and then said, hey, company, I can help you close the gap by leasing it to you. That's not what the business wanted. So that's where I think the strategic plans, I think that's where everything kind of ties together and has everyone on the same page. So it's a phenomenal example. So great all the way around. I appreciate that. Thank you. At this time, any more public comment? Yes, sir.
Good evening, gentlemen. I was here in February. I'm sure you remember. I tried to make it last month, but I had some deaths in the family, couldn't make it. So. But I'm back tonight to find out what the outcome of flowers on the column burials
Yes,
were.
sir. Do you mind stating
Oh,
full
Robert
name and address
Hundley,
again so we can get it for the record?
Robert Hundley, 4076 Dove Street.
Right. So, so we're still working forward with that, and I can open up to Mr. Taylor as well. We had planned to talk about it a little bit during his presentation and reports, so we can either jump to that now or stay tuned. But bottom line, he's pulled a lot of research as to the solution that was presented previously. If you tuned in with us last month, right?
No,
Okay, so
my system doesn't tell me when these meetings are, and the only time I've ever seen them is like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I can't really like hang out that late.
So I want to work personally on that too. Again, it's all about better communication from what resources we have here to operate on. So the long and short, and we'll get with Mr. Taylor's presentation on it as well, or discussion on it. The prior granite that was purchased is thin. It's thin to where if you were to put the holders on there, it will crack the granite and break the granite. It was
Okay.
not designed to be able to support that because that was the choice previously. So that leaves us with alternatives. What can we do to commemorate, aside from re-graniting everything, which everyone could see that there would be a significant cost with that.
I actually came up with a solution that solves just that problem.
I'm happy to hear that. I know Mr. Taylor's got research on that from an aspect of holders and different receptacles that are at the bottom or
My solution would incorporate the screws that actually hold the face plates in place.
Okay.
You unscrew it, this has got a hole drilled through it, you screw it back on there with the little collar on it, and it provides, I got one out in the car, I kind of like a, demonstration model I made. Just got two holes about that big around, made it out of aluminum so it won't rust. You just unscrew the screw, screw it on there, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, be done.
Okay.
But there's also another problem you're gonna have over there. There's gonna be 8 of those columbarials in place when they're all done. I would suggest that all 3 of you gentlemen visit over there as soon as you can. There's 2 in place. Walk between the 2. There's gonna be some people who are sitting in this room right now who's not gonna make it. I can't make it standing like this. I have to turn like this, because by the time you get to the inside gap, because they set on an angle, like the outside angle is like 34 inches, but by the time you get down to the inside, going into the interior, what the circle will be, it's less than 18 inches wide.
Okay.
Once all 8 are in place, there's not going to be access for a lot of people, including people in or wheelchairs. So this is something that was overlooked by whoever designed it. The path needs to be wider, or you're going to have to buy one of the columbarials, like half size, just to make an opening big enough to get into the inner circle.
Okay.
Now, I'll go out to my car and I'll get that thing I'm talking about, so after the meeting or whatever, I'll show it to you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you for the patience as we work forward on solutions.
No
Thank you.
worries.
Anyone else for public comment? All right, gentlemen, seeing none at this time, we've got no personnel actions tonight. We'll move forward to department reports and Fire and Emergency Medical Services Chief Stan Dimling.
Thank you, Mr. Logue. In the month of March, the department made 233 fire and service call responses, 539 emergency medical responses, and we transported 376 times to local hospitals. Completed 1,882 hours of training, participated in 24 public education details, and had 71 hours of EMT medic and doctor ride time on the paramedic units. We completed 5 life safety inspections and 4 joint inspections with the Clermont County Building Department. And just a quick note that hopefully the spring weather is here to stay and we're beyond the freezing temperatures. So as you know, spring and fall, we go out and inspect, do preventive maintenance and testing on the fire hydrant. So we're getting ready to start that up for the springtime. So I would just ask that the public, first of all, be aware that we're going to be out there and be patient and give them space when they're out there working along the roadways. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief. Gentlemen?
Chief, appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Chief, hey, thank you so much. I had a question for you prior to tonight's meeting, so just share it to the board here real fast. Kind of alluded to earlier, talking about our employees. Chief was able to put together for me the overtime, built-in overtime, mandatory overtime, and mandatory training overtime. So for 2021, it all comes out to a tune of 15,079 hours, with mandatory overtime being 1,092 and mandatory training overtime 502. I told the chief I wasn't doing anything specific with that tonight. As I'm looking through the report, Chief, I know how our reports have always been. Again, this is our first conversation on this. Training hours are presented would it take much resources out of you or the staff to be able to put it forward as far as what some of those overtime hours look like? And I say it just from the standpoint of, I believe as a board, it's our responsibility to know the resources and human capital that are being expanded or expended by our people to accomplish the great, terrific mission that you're accomplishing. So, I mean, I lift all our employees up and support them for what they're doing. I feel like that's prudent on the board to have an understanding of how much overtime, is going into making this mission happen, and to make sure that we show that value to our employees and our family, that we at least see them and hear them and know their amount of time that's invested when it's coming off their back. And I know that they're missing, some time with family that was planned. So just my question to you, as far as we can talk more offline on it if you want to. I'm not putting you on the spot, and I know Susan will probably work on.
No, I mean, it's, that's not an issue. Obviously, we track that.
Okay.
So, and it's broken down into, there's built-in overtime. It's the way I broke it down to the report that you asked for. There's built-in overtime with their regular work schedule, and then there's voluntary overtime, there's training overtime, and then there's mandatory overtime. And so, obviously, we are tracking that on an ongoing basis. So to answer your question, no, that's not an issue at all.
I greatly appreciate it. You're always phenomenal right up there for me on any question I have, so I appreciate it, Chief, and big thanks to the whole crew. Mr. Becker.
There was a baby box update?
So the baby box was ordered several weeks ago. I think they gave us 6 to 8 week estimated delivery time. In the meantime, we had to secure an approved vendor to do the alarm system because it's monitored locally and at the 911 center 24/7, 365. So we've secured the approved monitoring company for that. We had to secure an approved vendor to do the actual installation and approved. That's been done. The baby box itself, both the vendors that I just talked about have to be registered with the state health department. And so we've paid that check and registered with the state so that they get their cut of, and put it in their spreadsheet so they know to bill us every 3 years for that. So to answer your question, we're good to go. We've got everything lined up. We've got our vendors in line. I actually sent them an email recently trying to get an update if they got an update on delivery time, and I've not heard from them. So whenever it ships to us, we're ready to push forward and install it.
So you see like a June, July timeframe, something of that nature?
I think we're concerned about the supply chain issues of it all. So they said it was about a 6 to 8 week order. We're in the middle of that time frame, but also being able to work through those supply chain issues. I think we're waiting on the actual delivery and then being ready to go. So somewhere in the 4-ish more weeks, a little bit longer than that probably to get installation.
Yeah, I was really hoping that I would have a response to what what it looks like before this meeting, and I didn't get it, so maybe they didn't get the answer from their supplier. But
Which firehouse is it going into?
Station 50, which is the one at 1141 Cincinnati Batavia Pike, which is between Holman's and Sherifax down there at Healy.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Police Department, Chief Scott Gaviglio.
Thank you, Mr. Logue. This is for March 2022. Communications Center handled just over 5,000 calls for the month. Over 550 juvenile and adult court-related documents were processed and sent to the appropriate requesting agencies. Public Affairs, we hosted a couple Cub Scout tours in March. Patrol Division, we took 337 incident reports, investigated 105 crashes, initiated 582 traffic stops, issued 163 citations with 427 warnings. We took 608 field interrogation reports, made 140 criminal arrests, 115 traffic arrests, and we served 152 warrants. To date, investigations has closed 82 cases, Training for the month was 55 hours, and fuel cost was approaching $14,000 with about 38,000 miles driven by the officers for the month. That concludes my report, gentlemen.
Gentlemen?
Chief, wanted to commend your officers. This past weekend, my daughter was in a school play, and we didn't get home till about 11 o'clock, but we stopped by UDF right there on Glen S.T. Withams, right next to Jiffy Lube. And there's like 8 UT cops and bad guy, I don't know what they did, but they caught him, and my kids were all, excited at the same time, oh, what's going on, and I went over across the fence and, hey, how you doing, and you guys got them, and good job, handled yourself very, very well, professional with the public there as well, so please just my personal experience this past weekend, because, it was literally just 3 nights ago, so please just give my best to your police department. So,
I will.
Did a
Thank you,
great
sir.
job. Yes, sir.
Mr. Becker?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Chief, yeah, real quick question. I'll segue 2 things on this. I've asked if we're researching on the Milo's training system at all, because again, scenario-based training can be accomplished with that for a number of great reasons, protecting our officers there. And then here's the segue. For example, there was an incident recently at the West Clermont school system. Is there anything that you can share on that as far as at this time as to if there was great communication between our school resource officer that was there to be able to support and the school district, and any details of the situation that can be shared, or is that quiet at this moment?
No, I
Over to
can
you.
go over a couple of those things. Just take me a moment. As far as the Milo training or the FATS training, that's a firearms automated training system that you see on the news. We've always had one at Union Township. We've been very fortunate. Ours is currently down. It's older than some of the people in this room, but it's worked for years, and it's time to refresh that. But what that does is that allows our officers to transition through their tools in real time. It's a great system. We put our citizens through it. We put our officers through it throughout the training, and it used to be, back when I was on road patrol, it used just to be called a shoot, don't shoot scenario. Well, we've evolved way past that to where the scenarios branch off quickly, just like that, just like a video game. To transition different tools on your belt, or to just step back and inflect with voice. So that's part of that training. The incident was staff members of West Clermont were advised by students that another student potentially had a firearm. They brought that student into a secure facility and then notified our officers. The student was armed. Unfortunately, was taken into custody without further incident. There was some communication that we can do better with the school district, and that's fine, right? It's a learning process, because thankfully it doesn't happen every day. The school is very receptive to our suggestions, as they always are. Our SROs are on top of it. Every special assignment you see in Union Township, those are all competitive. Those are all the result of testing, my personal approval. There's no free rides at UT. That's not how it works. So I was very thankful for how the school handled that, and they were very open to how we wanted to maybe do a couple things a little differently.
Thank you very much, Chief. That's always important to hear. I mean, again, the military background up here for everybody that's there and included, and I know how you deep dive into everything too. But that's the after action reports, basically what you're looking at. What's the lessons learned? What can we take away? Where can we collaborate and work better and move forward? So great to hear that. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you, sir.
Service Department, Mr. Matthew Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Lope. In the Cemetery Division, from March 1st through the 31st, 22 burials were performed, generating $11,650. 35 resident graves were purchased, generating $19,250. One non-resident grave was purchased, totaling $1,500. 5 columbarium niches were purchased, generating $7,200. The total amount generated for the period was $44,121.60. In the road division, a total of 22 work orders were completed on 17 township roads, and 117 potholes were repaired on 22 township streets. And in the Parks Division, maintenance was performed on all township baseball fields, and new landscape bed maintenance and improvements were completed at Veterans Park. And staff is currently mulching all township landscape beds in between mowing. And then also one final thing is just a reminder, our fall junk days are this month. They're April 25th through the 30th. And it is Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. And Saturday is 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's also on our website, and we will post it on all the township marquee signs as well. And that concludes my report.
Gentlemen? Mr. Taylor, where can they drop their junk days off?
It is behind the police department at 4312 Glen Estee, Withamsville Road. There'll be signs posted when they pull into the parking lot. They could probably see the line from the road, so unfortunately. But yes, it's behind the police department. I'll have staff there to help offload, obviously, anything they bring.
Perfect. Did you have anything for ODOT by chance?
Yes, I do, and I'll be brief. On the ODOT 32 corridor project, there are 5 phases of this project. First and foremost, the township has no authority on this. This is completely ODOT. Obviously, I know we've probably had some involvement, but we don't have any authority to tell ODOT what to do. So the first phase, which is kind of going on currently right now, anybody that's driven down 32, they can see obviously the demolition by Holman's, Jeff Weiler's, the gas station. So that's kind of the first phase of that. It's going to be clearing, demolition, underground utility, storm sewer, construction, retaining wall, around Eastgate Woods, and then the ramp construction and the pier construction for the Buxton overpass, which it's not actually at that intersection. If you go down Marion Drive, which is between Big Mike's and Wendy's, if you go all the way down to the intersection by where the apartments are, that's going to be the road if you turn left, and that'll go over 32 right there to the other side over to Old 74. So that's going to be kind of the first phase, but and then obviously and there'll be cul-de-sacs at the current intersection on each side of 32 by Holman's and Jeff Weiler's. There'll be stoplights also at Marion Drive, and then before you go over 32, and then pretty much after you go on 32 for the exit ramps, obviously to get on and off. Then there'll be cul-de-sacs down at Old 74, which if you've seen by Speedway, it's already shut down on the southbound leg of it, and eventually the northbound leg will also be shut down. And then we've got there'll be a cul-de-sac in front of Ellis and Watts right now, if you know where that is, or kind of familiarize yourself with that area. And then kind of the last leg of it is going to be up near Glen Estee and 32. And that all of the improvements or of the 5 phases is scheduled or slated to be completed by late fall of 2024. So it'll be a little bit of time, but their initial goal for ODOT is to eliminate as many traffic lights as they can, which the 2 big ones are Buxton and Glen Estee, Withamsville. Because if you eliminate those 2, then you don't have another one till Bauer Road. So,
Thank you, Mr.
yeah,
Chairman.
no, that's.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's all right. I've got some information that I got from ODOT. I'll scan it in and I'll have it put in onto our website so people can kind of refer to that if they have any questions. Unfortunately, ODOT does change their mind sometimes, and the timelines make it a little different. So, but
Mr. Chairman, so I just wanted to say my apologies, because yesterday I called Mr. Taylor and I had asked Ms. Ayers about ODOT and if we can get, because it was not on the agenda, if he can give some kind of update on what's going on with State Route 32 and all that construction. So I know that wasn't on the agenda, and I asked him yesterday to give us just a brief update. But basically, I'm being hit up a lot with what's going on with State Route 32. What are you guys doing? Why are you guys doing this? We hate construction, we hate traffic. I get it. It's unfortunate because it's completely out of our control. Ohio Department of Transportation is in charge of this project, and Mr. Taylor, being the head of our service department, I had asked him to give us an update, and I had asked Ms. Ayers to throw it up on our website so folks can see it and have access to it. But basically, just like Mr. Taylor said, from 275 on 32, basically all the way out to Batavia, out by the Highway Patrol.
Yes.
All the way out that office, all the way out there, they don't want any traffic stoplights. They want it to be free-flowing. And so in order to do that, we're going to have to deal with construction for about another 2 years or so. But it is completely out of our control. We don't have any say in eminent domain. You know, the ODOT buying property with the construction they're doing. Unfortunately, it is completely out of our control and out of our hands. So, but I just wanted folks to have an update on that because the majority of the construction's happening here in our township. So appreciate that. Sorry.
No,
I
it's
spun
great.
on
You,
last
no,
minute.
no, you're responding and listening to the residents. You know, so same thing, I pull up a drafted email that I have here for a resident that was asking the same questions. So just some quick go-to information that I'll share. One, ODOT District 8 is the authority, and that's Charlie Rowe. And that's also charles.rowe, R-O-W-E, at dot.ohio.gov. And the phone number is 513-933-6596. And then also there's more information that can be found on the goclermont.org page. And that includes the Clermont Transportation Improvement District, which, again, Mr. Taylor's perfect for you to ask that question with, as he's representing us on the Transportation Improvement District. So we'll keep that with a pen in it for right now, because that's, you're right on the mark. So, Mr. Becker, do you have any comments?
Yeah, just a clarification. So it's my understanding we're going to eliminate 2 of those traffic lights along 32. It would be the one at Elick and Boxed on 32.
Yes.
And then the other one is you're continuing to go east where Old 74 crosses, like I said,
Yes.
Speedway gas station
Correct.
towards the edge of the township. I thought what I heard you say was also the one at Glen St. Withensville
Correct.
32 is also getting
Yes,
eliminated.
that is correct.
What's the time frame on that? And what are they replacing? I mean, with a what?
That's a flyover.
Yeah, an overpass.
So
Okay,
Glen
it's not gonna
St.
be
Withensville-
interchange?
There's gonna be a flyover, and there'll be the Applebee's there, you know, it's probably gonna take, so I've asked Charlie Rowe for any visuals, and they said that they are working those up now, because I've talked to many business owners that have those questions and concerns, but and business owners that have that question or concern too, as far as now there being a flyover. I guess the ODOT studies show that, the business corridor there is going to continue to have great traffic, so, there's really no negative to it.
Yeah,
Go
so,
ahead.
John, basically, Glen St. Withensville is gonna have an overpass over top of 32.
Okay.
And then, if you're heading eastbound on 32 from 275, and this directly affects me, this is how I take my route to go home every day, and you're gonna pass Glen St. Withensville, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Taylor, you're gonna take basically an exit ramp, if you will, on Elick, and then come around on Klepper, and it drops you off at what's that restaurant there?
Gold Corral.
Golden Corral, yeah, the buffet place, and then the car repair place right next to, across the street from Chipotle. So you're gonna basically go around, and then that drops you off right there on Glen St. Withensville. And then, so it'll be free flowing. I think it'll be a good thing. I mean, it doesn't really matter what I think, because it's gonna happen anyways, but yeah, so basically you pass over. Now, if you're coming westbound from Batavia, coming towards 275, it's gonna have a direct exit ramp. Basically, it's gonna cut into the parking lot of Applebee's and Pet Boys right there, and come right off and dump you off on Glen St. Withensville, right there by Meyer, if you know what I'm talking about. So, whereas, so if you're coming eastbound, you're gonna have to go around and come, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you, gentlemen, for the
Yeah.
updates.
yeah, no I was just getting bombarded with questions, and it's, it's out of our control. But, yeah, Ms. Joe, last minute, appreciate you giving an update on that last
No
minute.
problem,
So,
sir.
very much.
All right, great work. No, thank you. Thank you, Trustee Dills. And moving on, planning and zoning, Mr. Craig Flouty.
Thank you,
Interim
sir.
Director.
We'll start the report out with the March zoning inspection and violations. In the month of March, we had 61 inspections completed with 8 complaints received. There were 3 unfound complaints with 2 warning citations issued, along with along with 4 15-day non-compliance letters sent out. The biggest change we can see in the numbers is with the illegal signs removed. The new contracted crew has started removing the signs out of the right-of-way, and we have taken out 714 signs with that. There have been 10 miscellaneous issues, along with 9 total monthly violations, 6 reinspection of violations, and then 1 nuisance filed that we'll see tonight as a nuisance abatement resolution. The March permit activity, there were 2 commercial and 5 change of use applications that came across the counter, 6 sign permits, 2 temporary sales, and then an increase in the single-family home permit applications processed at 16. Fisher has been hitting heavy on their Silverstone subdivision there across from the high school. We've seen a lot of newer growth with that new subdivision there, along with 3 additions, 5 decks, 5 accessory buildings, and then the biggest number for the month as spring continues and we get a little warmer, there were 27 pool and fence permits for a grand total of 71 permits issued with a total revenue of $12,340 seen. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Gentlemen? Mr. Flute, thanks for stepping in. Interim Director, appreciate you very much. Well done. Good report. Thank you, sir.
The illegal signs removed. Thank you. I mean, I was getting a lot of questions from residents on that, and you jumped on it, and you absolutely made the right changes there. With you said it was a new contractor. 714. I mean, you could say I'm blind, but is that I don't feel like I've personally seen that high of a number there ever. So, did we set a record in March?
Yes.
Yes. The residents asked for something, and we set a record. That's
Put it up on the board, Craig.
I love that energy in here. That's great. Okay, 714. Wow. All right. I mean, do you think about that? That's
A little bit.
it's a lot.
It's not even political season. Well, I guess it is.
Yeah, that caught my eye as well. And that was something I was talking to Mr. Wright about previously, what we were doing with the signs. I'd say I'm a bean counter. I sit here and do the math. Okay, we paid how much contract to remove, how many signs, do the math. It was like $20 per sign. Like, what the hell? That sounded pretty pricey. Well, I don't know what it costs us to remove 714 signs. I bet it's a whole lot less than $20 per sign. So I like this. Thank you.
About 5.5 signs per mile of road that we have. If I didn't just butcher my public math, if anyone loves public math there, I just gave you an easy shot. But no, that's tremendous. So great work. Over to Miss Susan Ayers, our administrator, newest, and welcome.
Thank you.
And it's just been so phenomenal to have you here and on the team.
Thank you so much. It is a pleasure to be here. It has been a busy 3 weeks, but I think very productive. I have spent a lot of my time getting to know as many of the staff members as possible, the community members and things. So I do have to take this moment to tell everyone thank you for the warm welcome that I've received. It has been a lot of fun, and I'm very blessed to have gotten to meet a lot of people and gotten such great response from community members. It is very clear that we have a lot of great energy in the community and a lot of great interest in helping to move things forward from it as great as we've done to make it even better. And so I'm looking forward to really getting in now that we've had some time to get to know people and to try and really get some initiatives taken care of. Just a few updates. Open checkbook is up to date through the end of February. So we're hoping people are utilizing that to see where their money's getting spent. The farmer's market is on track for May, so you'll start to see some more advertisements coming out about that soon. I believe May 27th is the first date. We'll talk a little bit later about road resurfacing projects. We are in a great position to be able to make a lot of road repairs this summer. However, like everybody else, the cost has gone up exponentially. So it's unfortunate to have that happen, but I do think is a sign of the times at this point. Wanted to point out we did complete the purchase through the CIC for 4561 Elmont Drive. I did get into, I wanted to bring this board up to date about a couple of houses that we are going to be looking for demolition and really trying to foster some cooperation with the county. The county has access to some state funds for demolishing blighted property in the area. So, working with them, there's potential for, some significant dollars that can come in with low township match, and working through to try and secure those funds, to get those projects taken care of. We continue to work on getting online permitting, up and running. Obviously, it takes a little bit longer than we would all like, but it is still in process, and we look forward to being able to offer that to the citizens. We also have purchased 3 tables for the Clermont County Chamber of Commerce Law Enforcement Appreciation Banquet. I did see the list of winners come out today, so that was very exciting. So we welcome the trustees to attend, and we look forward to that event. I believe that concludes my report at the moment.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Comments?
Thank you, Ms. Ayers, and thank you for your very first report. Appreciate that. And is the Elmont Drive purchase? No, wait. Was it Eicholtz? I'm getting them confused. Which one did we purchase because of the flooding issues? Elmont. Okay, so just to give a little bit more clarity for our residents, we're having issues, and Mr. McGraw, thank you, because you suggested purchasing the property, and you were spot on. You were right. And so basically, this property, single-family home, it kept getting flooded and flooded and flooded. And we, in the past, I want you to correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Taylor, but we tried to do everything we could in the past to fix the problem the best we could, but it just was not solving anything. So we have to purchase this property for the greater good of the community. We're going to demo it and basically make it a retention pond there, correct? So all the flooding will go to basically a retention pond where that property was at. And so hopefully that whole street neighborhood benefits from that. It was a necessary purchase, makes sense for the community, and you did a good job at organizing that. So thank you. Just want to say, appreciate you doing that. That's all I got.
Yeah, first off, Mr. Dills, that was a great explanation of what's going on with Elmont that the public needed to hear. Thank you. That was spot on. Also, I'd just like to welcome Ms. Ayers and her first meeting here and first report, and we're very excited to have you on.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, thank you. And yeah, Mr. McGraw brought that up to share some of the history previously. I think you reached out to all trustees, maybe individually, or at least I saw something, maybe some Facebook comment somewhere that you're sharing with me of the history with Elmont as well. So, I think that's great. Happy to be able to, and you wrap that up very succinctly, so thank you. Quick question that I would just tag Ms. Ayers, and was we work on the online permitting, and it's just something to take as a note and to take back and work with Craig on, or Craig can look into it also, as we try to always take those steps to evolve the communication that we have. One thing I've heard from residents on is they'll get the publicly required notice, or the public required notice goes out there and tells them, what's happening, but it's, it's exactly what's on my agenda, case 2222 Zulu, and they don't know what that means. So in my mind, I'm thinking, is there any technology out there right now, Craig, that is either on the mailer, from the website link, or a QR code, that if they want to see more about it, like here's the QR code, they look at their camera and bam, it takes them to the plans or something that's been submitted. Now, I know that's not necessarily a permit or, permit submission, but I'm thinking to kind of, let's think creatively here about how to, push the curve of technology to be able to streamline services for us and give a better service to the residents.
I certainly think we'll look at all of the options available. I also think, I've been trying to spend a lot of time in the last 3 weeks doing a lot of listening. And then as we start to move towards what do we think we could maybe improve upon, I think what we distribute on our website and what we make electronically available can be a little bit more modernized. And one of those involves things like plan submissions and things like that. And so I think we're at a point where, as we start to implement some of those ideas, we'll get that out there.
I love that. I love that. I love that. That's something for a while that the website to take it to next generate to this generation, take it to this generation, but to get that information out there, because I think you could say the standard business practices as to where things are right now, resolutions, et cetera, they kind of go up after the fact.
Absolutely.
So it's all work in progress, but really appreciate that. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. You're just doing a phenomenal job. All right, gentlemen, at this time, public hearings we have for tonight. Craig, if you could introduce our public hearings.
Yes, sir. There'll be two cases tonight. The first one we'll start off with is the zoning map amendment for case number 2-22-Z. The contact for the applicant is engineer Carl Hartman. The applicant has submitted an application requesting two parcels totaling 1.7 acres be rezoned from R2 residential to PD planned development to facilitate a consolidation of parcels and to construct a multi-tenant building with 5 leasable tenant spaces in a drive-through location. The proposed zoning map amendment is located in the southwestern corner of the intersection of Paul Drive and Old State Route 74. The project is located within the Old State Route 74 Summerside-Willowville mixed-use corridor as identified in the Horizon 2030 Union Township Comprehensive Land Use Plan. Some project history. Originally, the subject property was zoned R2 single family as part of the original zoning map adoption in 1959. For much of that time, the site was home to a church. Since then, the church facility, along with all impervious surfaces, were cleared from the site and replaced with grass vegetation. Road improvements with the Old State Route 74 widening and Paul Drive extension have greatly influenced the site, giving the site road frontage to Paul Drive and connections to the single intersection there. Some land use and zoning characteristics. The surrounding land use is decently mixed in character, with B1 business being located directly north of the site along Old State Route 74 corridor. Timber Glen, a multifamily land use is directly to the west and south of the site, which received PD plan development designation in case number 2-20-Z. And directly east of Paul Drive is a high concentration of existing R2 single-family residential with a mix of single-family homes along with the Jamestown Crossing development. Relation to the Union Township zoning resolution can be found in Article 6, Section 680 through 687. The Union Township Fire Department has reviewed the zoning map amendment case for the proposed development and has no comment regarding the applicant's proposal as submitted, and therefore recommends approval of the development and zone change, with the understanding that final development details will confirm compliance with fire and life safety code requirements. The Union Township Zoning Commission met on March 23rd, 2022 to review the request for the zoning map amendment. At that time, the Zoning Commission ultimately voted to recommend unanimous approval to the Board of Trustees for the applicant's request to rezone the subject property to PD plan development. The following recommended modifications include that the applicant addresses the concerns of the county engineer, county water and sewer district, ODOT, and Union Township Fire Department during final development approval. 2, the applicant shall file a consolidation plat for the properties. 3, provide detail of traffic flow through the proposed site. 4, all signage should be limited to monument-style signage. And 5, additional landscaping shall be provided along the eastern property line. And these modifications were included in the most recent submittal that is before the board tonight. Some staff review and analysis. The submitted application proposes the construction of a new multi-tenant building consisting of 5 tenant spaces with a drive-through parking and water detention area. The provided building elevations show a 1-story structure mainly comprised of brick veneer for the outer shell of the building with traditional asphalt shingles to be used for the roofing. Signage is provided within the plan showing the freestanding sign along Old State Route 74. Parking has been provided in the plan showing a standard parking dimension. Clear labeling has been provided on the plan to dictate traffic flow through the development. The drive-through location is marked to clearly indicate that the drive-through is to stack around the rear of the building. Staff parking is dedicated to the rear of the site to lessen traffic congestion with minimizing interference of vehicles waiting in the drive-through line and with the vehicles trying to reverse and exit parking spaces. The rear parking spaces have also been altered since the zoning commission meeting to show angled parking spaces allowing for easy or accessibility when parking and exiting the spaces. New sidewalks at the width of 6 feet are proposed down the eastern property line along Paul Drive. The new sidewalk will connect to the new sidewalks placed around Old State Route 74, providing greater pedestrian connectivity. Landscaping is provided within the application. The additional landscaping requested by the zoning commission is provided along the eastern property line with a low evergreen hedge along the parking spaces and strategically implemented along the drive aisle to help shield headlights from the neighboring properties, pedestrians, and roadways. The action required in this case is in accordance with Section 680 through 687 of the zoning resolution. The Board of Trustees is to enter a motion to approve as recommended by the Zoning Commission, approve with additional modifications, or deny the applicant's request to rezone the subject property from R2 Single Family Residential to PD Plan Development as submitted herein with any further modifications as deemed appropriate by the Board. And that concludes the report.
Thank you, Craig.
Good job.
At this time, is there anyone to speak for, in support of this case? Please. And I have to swear you in. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
So help me God, yes. I'm Carl
God bless
Hartman,
you.
3478 Holly Ridge Drive, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45245. I am engineer for the Mona Patel and her husband. They have a contract to purchase this property. This is through the CIC that they're proposing to purchase it. The Patels are actually the owners, operators of the Exxon station across the street on the north side of Old 74 at Tealtown Road intersection. I want to start off by saying I think this is Craig's first solo act, and I think he's done a very professional job and very thorough job. Of course, I would not expect anything less from a graduate from UC, and so therefore, keep it up. Anyway, I think he did a good one. A lot of things have changed in Union Township since 1959. I moved here in May of 1961 with a wife and a baby, and now I got a 61-year-old son in that. So we've seen it. And I think it's very easy and very simple. We started off with 32, State Route 32 was rebuilt first, 275, the Eastgate Mall, all that commercial and economic development down through there, Eastgate South, and all this sort of areas. And I think it's, you see a lot of this still going now. The construction projects that Matt described is through the Buxton interchange. Incidentally, I suspect that if you asked, Charlie Rowe would come down and answer any questions that you might have relative to that. I would suggest that. One thing that I don't think was mentioned is that Fair Drive will no longer exist, and they're going to get to all these, some of these future phases. You know, we're talking about, what, 5 or 6 phases of improvements to Old State Route 74, and that's only enhanced the value. I think the time has come and to realize that this intersection, the new intersection of Paul Drive was extended out there, and it's going to be the primary means of egress and ingress for the development inspector Jamestown and the other apartment project. And so I think it's time to realize that it's not single-family property. We have got, and I think Mona indicates to me, she's already got 2 tenants lined up for 2 bays.
Sorry, I'm a little short. Mona Patel, 1261 Bluegrass Boulevard, Batavia, Ohio.
Thank you, Mona. Will you tell me you got two bays already?
Yes, sir. The main concept for the,
I guess for the record, I'll swear you in,
Sure.
too, just so we can engage with you as well.
This is your first time.
Yeah.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm new to this. I think I'll get used to it. The main concept for that is since everything is developing, Eastgate is developing, because of the jungle gyms, everything is developing. Why not Old State Route 74? We don't have good food where people can sit and eat. We want something that people come in, sit and eat. Since everything is developing, that should develop also. And the biggest tenant we will be having over there will be Diego Tacos. They will be occupying 2 spots over there, with including where children can play, parents can eat. So that is the main concept. And the second thing, the third main concept to bring there is a soft serve ice cream with multiple flavor. That is the most thing going on the agenda right now.
Thank you, Mona.
Thank you, sir.
You know, and it's hard to follow that, but anyway, I think this is pretty much, you know, something that's needed. You had the opportunity, you talked earlier about getting economic development, creating things like this. We have the opportunity here to convert something from single family from 1959 to 2022 standards. The zoning commission unanimously approved it, and they had some recommendations, and we incorporated those. And I think one of the key things we did was we made the rear of the building be for staff parking. So therefore, you know, there won't be the interference of customers and the employees, and we have a one-way directional traffic at the rear of the building, directing everybody back out to Paul Drive. And so I'm welcome to answer any questions that you may have. And again, thank you, and welcome to Union Township.
Thank you.
And congratulations, Matt, and you left.
Thank you, Carl. I will, yeah, go ahead, please.
Yes, question. So what's the timeline, do you think this, assuming we approve this tonight, what's the timeline do you see the building opening up and these new tenants in there serving tacos and soft serve? So I'm looking forward to
Well,
both.
you know, we know yeah, what the tacos, yes. The zoning won't really become effective until middle of next month. And at this point in time, Mona has signed a contract for have the surveying of the site done, the topo. Larry Keith is our architect. Larry has prepared these drawings. He's prepared to prepare the next set. So I think time you get this and we get the stormwater management and everything else involved, it's going to be at least 6 to 7 months before we can start construction. So I would say realistically, next summer of 2023, I would expect it to be open.
Great. All right, thank you.
Just in time for soft serve.
Works for me.
Have you had them yet, the tacos?
I have not. That's
You
going to now
need
be
'em.
on my list.
It's on my list.
Mr. Harmon, thank you. Great presentation.
I try to keep it short.
You did a good job. Is there, devil's advocate, was there any negative feedback at all from anyone in the community about this as far as the build, lighting, nuisance, noise, dumpster noise, anything at all? Is there any feedback?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, fair enough. And Ms. Patel, you own the Exxon station?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for investing in our community, and you're taking ownership, you're taking on more responsibility, because whether it succeeds or fails, it's on you. You know, you, at the end.
Supporting local business.
Yes, ma'am. And at the end of the day, you're the one that's got to pay the mortgage to the bank. And so, bless you. I'll definitely be a customer, and when it opens, assuming the board passes it. But thank you for investing in our community. Bless you very much.
It is good to have,
Yes, ma'am.
Generate some revenue also for you guys.
Yes, ma'am.
it's
You got
good
it.
to have owner-operators.
Absolutely. Yes.
I can't say it better myself. Both these gentlemen cover the comments. Just thank you. I was excited that you did share who the tenants were, because I was hoping that was going to be public knowledge or not. So thank you for jumping in there and being able to share that. I'm very excited to see it hopefully be successful here. So at that time, is there anyone else that would like to speak either for this case or against this case? You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
John McGraw, 4604 Blainfield. I couldn't make comments as a former trustee, but my comments tonight will be short and sweet. This is an excellent family in our community. They're invested, they got a home in our community. They've invested in the Exxon station. They're a great family. I know their family, I know their kids, and you could not ask for a better partner in Union Township than this family. Outstanding all the way around. And I just know, being local, living 5 minutes from the property, that they're going to take good care of it, and it's going to be an excellent project. So I give it my full blessing, and you couldn't have a better owner than this.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGraw.
Anyone else to speak? Okay, at this time, I will close this case to the public and open it to the board for discussion. And then board, once we've discussed, we'll entertain a motion. Floor is yours, board.
So just so everyone knows, whenever we have a zoning case, the very first thing I do is, and before it was Mr. Wright, and now it's Mr. Flout, but I always call and make the same phone call, same questions every time. Give me the layman's terms of what this zoning case is. Dumb it down for me so I understand. And then I always ask, what are they doing? And then, was there anyone against the case at all? And tell me their side of the story. I always want to know what's the positives and what's the, I guess I'll say negatives. I do that for every single zoning case. So I make an informed decision and make a vote based off what the public wants, what the business owner wants. And so just so you know, every single time there's a zoning case change or any kind of zoning change at all to be voted on. But Mr. Flout said there was not one single opposition that came to the zoning case. The zoning board voted unanimously for it, and so we have a zoning board in place to basically be our eyes and ears to let us know their thoughts. And so this passed unanimously, and there was no one there in opposition of this case. So it should be pretty cut and dry and hopefully expand their business. So that's my thoughts.
Thank you, Trustee Dills. Trustee Becker?
Yeah, I'm familiar with the property. I've been driving past it for decades. I'm in that Exxon gas station every Sunday morning making a purchase, so I'll start looking for you the next time I'm in there.
Her husband's generally there.
So I don't have any objections. I think it's great. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Phenomenal. Well, I will just cover real quick. Craig, the applicant, they're aware of the 5 recommendations? Mm-hmm. Okay, all right.
Actually, we revised the plan and addressed those in this revised plan.
Okay, so we're all set there?
Yep.
Okay. Do we need to include that in the motion then, or they've already got you've already received the revised plan?
Yeah, we've got the revised.
Because that's not, okay, all right. We'll still look to include it in the motion. No, I think that's phenomenal, so we can all enjoy tacos and soft serve in summer of 2023. That's my feelings on that. I would love to support the local businesses, so thank you. It's an honor and pleasure to have you here investing in the community and to meet you. So look forward to making a new friend. So with that, gentlemen, at this time, I'll entertain a motion then.
I'll make a motion for Union Township zoning case number 2-22 is -Z as in Zulu.
And that'd be in accordance with section 687 zoning resolution to approve. So we're being asked to either approve, modify, or deny. So just throw that part in.
And I will second that motion.
All right. And so we'll clarify with you too, but Mr. Campbell, we can take roll call.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes, and that
Motion
is, yep,
Thank you, gentlemen.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mr. Patel.
All right, gentlemen, moving right along. Union Township Case 3-7 Zulu, major amendment.
Thank you, sir. This is a major amendment application brought forth for the Smythe Automotive PD Plan Development. The applicant has submitted an application requesting major amendment to an approved PD Plan Development District formal plan for the Smythe Automotive site to expand its existing warehouse westward with the plans for future expansion to the northern portion of the site. The proposed expansion would comprise a 5,000 square foot addition to the 15,200 square foot existing structure with a future plan on the same building that would add another 16,500 square feet of warehouse space. The proposed amendment to the Smythe Automotive PD is located along the western side of Mount Carmel Tabasco Road in the west central portion of Union Township. Some project history: the original Smythe Automotive PD was approved in 2007 in order to consolidate a mix of commercial business and non-conforming residential use properties. Then in 2011, the district was expanded north of its original boundary and grew nearly 3 more acres to accommodate for better site circulation and the growing workforce being taken on. The improved site plan allows for expanded parking, increased warehouse space, and significant changes in ingress egress to the site. Since this time, the prior major amendment was allowed for Smythe to stay at its current location and grow its workforce, creating a more cohesive site. Some land use and zoning characteristics. Presently, the subject property is zoned PD plan development, with the site bordered by R2 single-family zoning to the north and west of the site and B1 business district zoning to the south and east of the project site. Additionally, across the road to the west, there is a mix of PD plan development. Land use is decently mixed in the area, with some moderate density multifamily uses and heavy retail uses found to the immediate east and south of the project site, and a heavier concentration of single-family housing to the west and north of the site. Some staff review and analysis. Upon review of the proposed expansion of the current warehouse, the use itself appears consistent with the PD district general conditions and permissible uses. Overall, the planned use will result in the expansion of the current use north of the site towards the existing gravel storage area owned and operated by Smythe Automotive. The proposed 5,000 square foot addition will decrease the current warehouse setback to the property line. The operation owns the 5.61 acres directly behind the site, and it is mainly wooded, blocking and screening the neighboring R2 single-family properties. Future expansion is included within this application that totals 16,500 square feet. This addition will not create any decrease in setbacks, as the development is proposed to be built north of the existing buildings towards the center of the site. Parking is provided on the site with a mixture of asphalt and gravel surfaces. Any parking expanding to the front of the site shall be a paved surface, reducing dust and improving visual impact. With the proposed additions, the width of the drive aisle location next to the existing structures will be significantly decreased. A loading/unloading plan along with a circulation route shall be created to show the best traffic flow and limit congestion through the site. And any new signage that would be proposed for the site shall be limited to monument-style signage. The action is in accordance with Section 680 through 687 of the zoning resolution. The Board of Trustees is to enter into a motion to approve with some modification, or deny the applicant's request to approve a major amendment to an approved PD plan development district as submitted, and with any further modifications as deemed necessary by the board. Some of the recommended modifications, should the board choose to grant favorable consideration to the PD major amendment application. 1, signage for the site shall be limited to monument-style signage. 2, an unloading loading plan along with the circulation route shall be created upon the expansion of the future 16,500 square foot addition to ensure vehicle flow through the site. 3, any additional pavement towards the front of the building shall be paved with hard surface, subject to administrative review and approval. And that concludes the report.
Thank you, Craig. At this time, is there anyone here to speak in support of case 3-7 Zulu? Please state your name and address.
William Schock, 29 High Street, Milford, Ohio, 45150.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so
I
help you
do.
God? Thank you.
I think Craig kind of summed up everything. We're here basically for the potential expansion for Smythe Automotives. They had the immediate need for the 5,000 square feet. The future, we basically had put on the drawing per Corey's recommendation prior to him leaving, so that we don't have to come back if Smythe has that need for that additional square footage. Kind of saves everybody some time. But the 5,000 square foot is the immediate need currently. And no issues with the recommendations. We can provide that parking and maneuverability plan with that additional square footage. We can do it now so that everybody knows how that's going to look when and if that expansion happens. As far as the parking goes, any additional parking, I don't think there's any planned right now. Existing parking would take care of everything, so there will be no future or no current parking proposed. And signage, no additional signage would be proposed. Existing signage would be utilized.
Okay.
Other than that, any other questions?
Thank you. Gentlemen?
Mr. Schock, thank you for coming here and presenting your case. Was there anyone at the zoning case, or anyone, have you heard any feedback that's against your case at all? And
We have
what
not,
those-
no.
Fair enough, yeah, good. And well, you're a good partner, and I have absolutely no problem with you expanding as long as the neighbors are okay and there's no issues at all. Did I hear correctly, Craig, that the Smythe owns the property behind it, adjacent? So you're just affecting yourself?
Correct.
Okay, fair enough. So, appreciate you, please pass it along to the Smythe family. We appreciate them investing in Union Township, and it means a lot, absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. At this time, is there anyone else that is here to speak for or against the case? All right, gentlemen, seeing no one else is here to speak, we'll close the portion to the public, and it's open to the board for discussion. Any concerns, comments?
Sure.
Pretty straightforward.
I stopped by and not only do a drive-by, but dropped in, met with Jim Smythe, and he gave me a tour of the facility, what he's got going on. They got an impressive operation there, and it all looked good to me. I don't have any objection.
Fantastic, thanks for doing that, Joe.
Absolutely. Appreciate that very much. All right, gentlemen. Then at this time, I'll entertain a motion for case 37 Zulu to approve in accordance with section 680, 687 of the zoning resolution with the major amendment as submitted with the 3 modifications. Do I
So
have that
moved.
motion?
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right, there's no old business on the agenda tonight, gentlemen. We'll move forward to new, and let's say either of you had something here for it, but we'll move forward to, and press forward here for new business. Again, I'm just gonna highlight right now as a preface this going in, I'm interested in looking at modifying our agenda layout in the future for a consent agenda for essentially these items. That's not established yet, so we're not just shooting from the hip and doing that, but at this time I'll entertain a motion for item A, approval of payments.
So moved?
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item B, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of monthly financial report.
So moved?
Second.
No discussion, gentlemen? Roll call, Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item C, approval of purchase orders. Entertain a motion for the approval of purchase orders. And we'll ask Ms. Ayers to present on
Yes,
those purchase
sir.
orders.
There are quite a few. First matter is payment of $265,000 to the Union Township CIC for purchase of property. Next matter is January 2022 reimbursement for the TQL Economic Development Agreement for $27,597.91. Then February 2022 reimbursement for the TQL Economic Development Agreement for $87,411.23. $36,000 for Civic Center Gas and Electric for a 3-month period. Then we have a collection of TIF settlements for the first half. First one is for West Clermont Local Schools in the amount of $1,658,661.03. Milford Board of Education for $1,089,805.86. Great Oaks Institute Technical Career and Development, $30,287.06. Clermont Northeastern Local Schools for $16,719.86. We have $15,000 for office furniture for the fiscal office to Office Furniture Source LLC. We have a first half TIF settlement payment for Waterford Glen and Brokamp. It's for $52,708.60. Another first half TIF settlement for the Redwood community at Redwood Living Incorporated for $66,149.88. A first half TIF settlement for DMK or Macomb Partners for the Trilogy Assisted Living Economic Development Project at Trilogy Investors LLC for $22,952.13. A first half TIF settlement for Clover Communities Union LLC for $19,858.56. a first half TIF settlement for Echelon 1 for Echelon by 360 LLC for $49,726.97. We have to Ascent Concrete Polishing LLC for the repair and maintenance of concrete floors at Firehouse 52 for $23,114 even. We have $29,900 even for Station 48 restroom remodeling to WHW Enterprise Incorporated. We have $12,707.20 for the installation of Station 53 roof snow guard system to Truecraft Roofing LLC. We have $16,500 to Reliant Flooring Solutions LLC for flooring at Suite 210 of the 4357 Ferguson building. And finally, we have $900,000 even for Barrett Paving Materials Incorporated for the 2022 road resurfacing program.
Thank you, Ms. Ayers. Gentlemen, do I have a motion for approval of purchase orders?
So moved?
Second.
Discussion, gentlemen?
None.
I have two quick comments. Yep, I think top one we see there for UTCIC, that's the Elmont property that was of discussion earlier. And I am so excited to see Station 48 restroom remodel on here. In January, I want to walk through all the firehouses and, get out to see all the employees. I popped my head and around the corner at Station 48 and said, whoa. And I told the guys, whoa. It just needed it. So thank you, Chief, for looking into that. And I'm happy the board's able to bring resources to the employees where it's needed. So that's all I had there. So thank you, gentlemen. No further discussion. Roll call, Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item D, gentlemen, I'll entertain a motion for the temporary easement authorization. And Ms. Ayers, if you want to present item D.
Yes, sir. As we've discussed all the road work going on recently, part of this involves road work in front of Station 50 Firehouse at 1141 Old State Route 74. We were approached as they are doing some road work. There might be a need for temporary access to the apron at the firehouse to get that road work done. So we would be granting a temporary easement for them to access that property while they are doing the road work on Old State Route 74. There is an agreement that if area in the easement was damaged, that it would be repaired. We are not losing any length on the apron for the firehouse. Asking the body to continue authorizing that easement and donating it so that the road work can get done.
Thank you, Ms. Ayers. Gentlemen, entertain a motion for approval of the temporary easement authorization.
So moved?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, gentlemen, item E, I'll entertain a motion for the 2022 roadway resurfacing project bid award. I don't believe that we need any further introduction on that. But
Just a question on it. So we approved that with what she just listed off?
yes,
Are we still going to vote on this? Is that correct?
yes. So the purchase order is approved there, but then this is for the bid award. So, Ms. Ayers, you can go ahead and please introduce item E.
This awards the contract for that bid work, so we approved the purchase order, and now we actually award the contract. So, Mr. Taylor, you can certainly add it, but we did have a bid opening. The lowest and best bid, we believe, was with Barrett Paving for $891,588. And you'll see in the documents the breakdown of how we got to that cost. It's unfortunate that it was this high, but I think the materials cost, gasoline, things have gotten so exorbitant that we've seen that passed along in these bids.
And just a question, Mr. Taylor, is this for the season? Is this for one specific project? Just for
Yes.
the residents to know?
Yes, this is the annual road resurfacing program.
This is for 2022? for
Correct,
you-
there's 25 roads.
For you and your team to resurface
Yeah,
our township roads?
Well, yes.
Got it.
Barrett.
It'd be Barrett paved, yes.
They'll manage the contract.
Well, that's what I
Correct,
meant. Yes, I'm
yes.
sorry. Yes, okay. Got it. Fair enough.
It's about as Ms. Ayers, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but Ms. Ayers is correct. It's about a 35% increase in the cost of asphalt from last year to this year.
Excellent, excellent. I'm being sarcastic, by the way.
No,
35% increase in the cost.
Yeah.
That's, yeah, I mean, because it's unfortunate because, frankly, that's one of those things where if we went real heavy on the roads in the past,
Yep.
then it's just, but no one could ever foresee this volatility, so that's unfortunate. Question for you, I believe it was Brittwood Lane, I know we had some discussions on it, it was not included on the list last year, and that's an area where there was like the last portion of it that was not completed. Will we be able to correct that this year with
Yes,
this?
that is my intention to
Great,
work that in.
great,
Yeah,
great.
It is about 500 feet.
Great. And now I had a resident ask, and you can tell them how the details work on this, or we can get offline on this too, but I had a resident ask about a lot of the significant cracking at Veterans Park and the basketball courts.
Yes.
Do we potentially find ourselves in a scenario where we have purchased the product and we can now utilize it for something like resurfacing on the courts?
There is a color resurfacer that we are looking into to try but we'll have to fix the cracks first before
Okay.
we overlay not with asphalt, but with there's an acrylic resurfacer.
Okay, all right, so different subject.
Yes.
On that, okay. All right, just appreciate it. All right, so gentlemen, this time I entertain a motion to approve the 2022 roadway resurfacing project bid award.
So moved?
Second.
No discussion further than what we've had. Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, gentlemen, item F, we're asking to approve a resolution for 2022-19 nuisance abatement resolution. And we've got that in the package here. Ms. Ayers, are you able to present on that, or Craig?
Craig, do you want to go for it?
Sure. There is the resolution 2022-19. It is the nuisance abatement resolution. It is to adopt resolution 2022-19 authorizing the abatement, control, or removal of vegetation, garbage, refuse, or debris pursuant to section 505.87 of the Ohio Revised Code at the following property, and that would be 690 Wood Thrush Drive, Cincinnati, Ohio 45244, parcel number 413105G213.
Thank you, Craig. Gentlemen, this is the opportunity for the township to take action when unfortunately the property owner is not. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the resolution 2022-19.
So moved?
Second.
Any further discussion, gentlemen?
Yes. I did a drive-by on this property. From the street, it doesn't look all that bad. I followed up with our zoning inspector on this, and he said, yeah, the mess, you really can't see a whole lot from the street. The mess actually behind the house is a junkyard. And there's neighbors that are having to view that on a daily basis who want the mess cleaned up. So, and frankly, what I saw from the front of the house, it didn't look great, but didn't look bad enough. But again, the mess is actually behind the house. So I am supportive of this resolution.
Thank you. Thank you for doing the research of visiting out there and speaking with the neighbors. No further discussion, Mr. Dills, go ahead.
Just one question for clarity. Ms. Ayers, you may or may not be able to answer this already. So for the residents see this, the backyard is just a complete disaster. So question is, we obviously clean this up and then we send the resident a bill, correct? Now, we've exhausted our efforts, they've ignored it, and then we do it for them and send them a bill, correct? So just to, for layman's terms for me, what happens if this continues? 6 months from now, we're dealing with the same issue from the same property, same resident, what do you suggest? What's the protocol?
If this continues to be a problem, and let me preface this. I am still learning things, so there might be some Union Township specific items we can take care of. In general, my recommendation would be actually that you can continue to have these cleanups, and then if the bills go unpaid, they get assessed on taxes and can subject the property to forfeiture.
And I want to say, in absolutely no way, shape, or form am I judging this person. I don't know if they're handicapped, I don't know who their name is, I don't know anything about them. They could be a complete slob, or they could be handicapped and not be able to physically do it. I don't know their situation. But regardless, it needs to be taken care of, so.
And ultimately, when you get into these type of cases, I apologize, I hope I was not interrupting,
No, not
but
at all.
to the extent that, if people are out there and having these kind of problems where they have a hard time taking care of it, the zoning inspectors will frequently go out to the property, try and work with them, try and address the concerns if there's a need for services or some support. I think we'd be happy to try and connect the pieces, because I know sometimes that can be difficult. I think by the time they get to your desk, it is a situation where we've been unable to exhaust any of those
Fair enough.
type of remedies.
That's good, appreciate that.
And that's a great question, and that's, exactly the great coordination that can happen between zoning inspection and police and fire, because you get down that path of, is it just this, or is it somewhat a welfare check, or is it, how can we help? So, absolutely spot on, so, all right.
I do have some additional
yes.
information. So when I was talking to our zoning inspector, he gave me some additional details on this. He said the owner's deceased, so why the heirs haven't cleaned it up, I guess, is a mystery. But he said the problem is actually bigger than it looks, because the house is open to like raccoons getting in. And that's also part of the problem. So the house is actually decaying.
Is anyone living there?
Apparently not.
Okay.
Okay.
So this doesn't look like it's a problem that's going to go away anytime soon. So we're going to have to address it, and if it, we may be confiscating the property at some point. I mean,
I
what do we
wonder
got to
why
do?
the family members just don't sell it. It's
I
a real
don't
estate
have those
market.
details.
Yeah,
So for clarity here, that goes on our tax bill as a tax lien.
got it.
So what we do is we contract a service to come out, clean up, abate the issue, and then it actually goes on to real estate taxes as a tax lien. So if they don't pay that, then you're gonna start foreclosure at the county.
Just-
So it will fix itself if they continue to not do anything. It will eventually fix itself, but it has to run its course.
Maybe, Mr. Chairman, we could have Mr. Berkey, who I like a lot, does a really good job.
He's out there watching.
Oh, is he really? That's funny.
Oh, I'm saying
So-
he says he watches every meeting,
So, I like him a lot. He's not a hard-nosed, iron fist kind of zoning inspector. He's got a heart and he knows. And so, just for the record, before it gets to this, I'd like to exhaust everything, if like the person's deceased, or if, people go through hard times financially, lose their job, fill in the, whatever. We're not some hard-nosed trustees up here just, iron fisting things. At least that's not the way I am, and I can't speak for you two, but I assume you're the same way. So, I trust that Mr. Berkey has done his job and exhausted all the efforts. That's the kind of guy he is, so, fair enough. So, okay.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. Close discussion and roll call, Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Gentlemen, at this time, open the floor for comments from board members.
Either of you? Okay. Well, first off, happy early Easter to everyone. And I truly hope that all of you get to spend some time with your quality time with your family. Gentlemen, happy Easter, all of you, and all of our department heads up there and up here. And Ms. Ayers, well done. Very first meeting. I know that you, I tried my absolute very best to not bother you for the past 3 weeks, and because I wanted you to get your feet wet. But we're happy to see your face up here. Really mean that. And Mr. Flout, likewise with you. Good job on your very first meeting. Appreciate you, my friend, and good job. Very good job. So I wanted to say, since the last meeting, I got to ride with Lieutenant Tony Reese, who was up here earlier and presented the new uniforms, and had a really good time with him on our ride-along. He gave me an in-depth show of the police department, of how the whole operations work, and I really enjoyed his time. We did it on a Friday evening. I got there around 6 o'clock, and we didn't stop till about 1 a.m. And so, and he did that on his own time. By the way, he also worked a full day Friday, so if he's listening, thank you to him. Chief, thank you for letting me steal him for the night as well. Appreciate that, and he did a really good job. And he's, because I asked him, I said, what night? I want to get some action. So, I said, what night? He said, Friday night. And I got to tell you, we didn't see much action. He's like, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. This is unheard of. And so I guess it's a good thing that our township was behaved on a Friday night. But at the same time, I was like, man, I want to see some action. But he did a really good job and very thorough, and met all the officers that were on duty that night. Great time. I want to say this, our call dispatch center, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, I think we don't have any males that work there. They're all females, correct?
We have one male, sir.
We do, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Who's that?
Jason, sir.
Okay, my apologies on
You
that.
might have just missed him. Yeah.
I think so, okay, so, but, those folks, I was in the dispatch center, which handle all of our 911 calls, for about a solid hour, and man, those ladies, they are rock stars, they are truly, could I do their job? Yes, but man, could I do it the way they did? Absolutely not, there's no way. And just putting myself in their shoes, they're champs, and they have their headset on, and I want to try to paint a picture for you. They're hearing someone in distress, calling 911, and obviously they're under stress, they're yelling or whatever it is, and at the same time, they got like 4 monitors they're looking at. You know, they have to pinpoint where the caller is at, they have to pinpoint the nearest officer that's not currently doing something, you know, pulling someone over, and they have to coordinate while they're listening, while they're taking details. I don't know, I'm not that multitasking capability myself, so and coincidentally, it's I just saw this morning on Facebook with our fire and police department, it's called Dispatch Center Week, and I had this on my notes since I left Mr. Reese, or Lieutenant Reese, to go over this, and coincidentally, this is called Dispatcher Appreciation Week, and those folks, loud and clear, and I'm kind of a bull in a china shop. So I know during election, it was talked about shutting down the call center. Well, that was absolutely false. I don't know where that came from, but I love those gals, and they were truly just amazing. I was very impressed with them, very much. And so, Chief, please pass that along. Hopefully some of them watch this, and just know that truly, I was truly impressed, and they're very much appreciative. So, last thing I want to talk about is dog parks. It was about 3 or 4 Sundays ago, and it was a warm Sunday, even though it's been cold the past, but it was a Sunday. My family and I, my 3 kiddos and my wife, went to Batavia Township Park, also known as the Hummer Park, the H1 Humvee outside of it. They're off Clough Pike. And why did I go there when I live in Union Township and I'm a trustee here? Well, good question. I went there because they allow dogs, and my kids wanted to take their dog to the park. And here in Union Township, we cannot. And I don't know why that's the rule. It's been the rule, from my understanding, for a very, very long time. And quite frankly, I don't understand it. And so, you know, we went there, and I got to tell you, it was a very pretty park. You know, kudos to Batavia Township. I have got my 2 daughters and my son. We played soccer for a little while. We threw the football for a little while. And not once, because I was trying to think to myself, what's the downside of having dogs in your parks allowed? And I'm thinking, well, the obvious is dog droppings, right? And so, but not once did we encounter landmines, if you will. And very clean. I didn't see any problems at all. And then also in the back of Batavia Township Park, they've got 2 fenced-in areas. Nothing special. It wasn't nothing crazy. It was literally 2 chain-linked fence areas. They were squared off. And then inside of it, I'm going to describe it as construction equipment. You know, a big choreograded construction tube the dog can run through, a big tire for the dog or whatever, and it was nothing like super fancy or crazy, but it served its purpose. And so I want to have dog parks. I want to allow it, and I totally get. I always try to play devil's advocate of, well, you know, people might not obey the rules and take them off a leash, or there might be dog droppings everywhere. I get that, but you know, and I was going to challenge Mr. Taylor to maybe report back next month with us, and with the cost with putting up those little posts with a sign on it. Dogs are allowed, but they must be on a leash. And then also, you know, some kind of metal box, similar to what Batavia Township has, that's got the plastic little mittens that you clean up your dog with, right? Put those throughout the parks. I'm going to let you decide. I mean, you're the expert, not me, of how far they should be spaced out and all that, and the cost of that. Also, you know, 2 chain link fences. I thought Batavia Township's park was just fine, the amount of space they provided. So basically, a couple things. Number one, I'm going to put it on the agenda, Ms. Ayers, for there to be a vote for all parks in Union Township to allow dogs on a leash. Second part is, though, so I'm giving you guys a month heads up to think on it, chew on it, get the public's feedback. But the second thing is if every park, Mr. Taylor, allows, I would like a chain link fence, 2 of them, one's for small dogs, one's for large dogs. If we have the land available, and if it's not, messing with anyone, if we have the land available to put that at every single park, if there's enough land. If there's not, then that's fine, but I like it to be at every park if we have the land available. And I don't think the cost would be too much. It's just a standard chain link fence. It wasn't nothing fancy, so. But, I mean, I'm just trying to speak as a regular resident. I'm a trustee, and I went to Batavia Township Park. Why? Because they allow dogs and we don't. And the feedback I've gotten is, gosh, why don't we have dogs in Union Township? And I live the closest to Veterans Memorial Park, also known as the Helicopter Park. I can't stand Canadian geese. And that park is flooded with them, and there are Canadian geese droppings everywhere. And there is no way that you're going to convince me that dogs will cause more of a nuisance than the Canadian geese cause all over, the walking paths and all that. So just wanted to put that in the back of your mind, but I would like to call a vote next month for that to be on the agenda, to immediately allow it, for them to be put on a leash, and then obviously with time with Mr. Taylor and his team to plan for the post as well as the chain link fence as well. So just my thoughts, but that is all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Phenomenal.
Thanks, sir.
Open the floor over here.
Is that going to have an emergency provision then, for it to go into effect immediately?
We might need to, spring and summer.
There you go.
All right, I got 2 things. First off, this is really for Chief Gaviglia as well as for Mr. Taylor. I read, I saw, I think, a news item in the, is either, I don't know, saw on TV News or in the Enquirer or something. City of Cincinnati is, we have an ambitious program to electrify all of their vehicles. We're talking fire trucks, garbage trucks, dump trucks, police cars, the list goes on. I am interested in kind of watching that, and if they do anything that economically makes any sense, that we can adopt whatever they're doing, perhaps adopt that here in Union Township. So in the future, when we're replacing police cars, I can't imagine fire trucks getting on this list somehow, or our salt trucks, but for police cars anyway. Some of the electric vehicles I've been looking at, just to give you an example, an F-150, it's a large vehicle. Those things will do 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. So they're big and they're fast. So obviously you need charging infrastructure. These things you can plug into a regular 110 outlet if you got 3 days to let it recharge. But adding 220 lines usually isn't all that complicated or expensive. So there's just a lot of possibilities with this. There's a lot of possibilities with grants, maybe federal and state. So I just want you both to be kind of watching City of Cincinnati and other things that you're finding out there and seeing if it makes sense for us to move forward with the EV. So, an advantage of fuel link's a whole lot cheaper. And, electric's cheaper than gasoline. And also the maintenance cost is so much less. You don't have to worry about catalytic converters get stolen either. So that's something I'm interested in. The next thing I have, or the last thing I have, is, so we passed a resolution a couple of months ago allowing concealed carry in this building. So we had to get rid of the signs that are on the properties that say, no guns allowed. So the one outside, it looks like some Kentucky engineering. I'm very proud of Mr. Taylor on that with the duct tape. And I'm from Kentucky, and there is nothing duct tape can't fix. So anyway, we're going to get, so I guess my question for the board and for the public, what would you like to see out there? Another gun sign that says, now you can take a gun in here, or do you want to see like a historical marker? Remove the thing altogether? I don't know, you tell me. And it's not too late to get to something out there that's maybe different. I kind of like the idea of just a historical marker type of thing, the founding of the township, and a couple of sentences of that nature. I don't know that we need to, make a gun announcement that, all are welcome, concealed or not. And with that, that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well done.
Thank you. Great comments from the board. Thank you, guys. Thank you all. I just got to jump to this and say, I'm so excited to hear you say that about dog parks. I've heard that from residents for 2.5+ years, and that's exciting. So thank you for kind of just seeing that initiative and tackling it and putting it on the board and putting it on the agenda to take next steps with it. I think it's phenomenal.
you hit all the pertinent details, I mean, frankly, my mind goes then down the path of, I believe it's about $10,000 cost for swans. And, potentially, we'll see what happens with that. Maybe we don't need the swans. But, they're nice. People like those too, so it's an amenity in a way, but at the same rate. Just excited for the fact because it's fun, family, time. So, appreciate that. Great work, being able to just tackle that and bring that forward. It's just, I feel the energy. I don't know if any of you guys feel, the residents, people that attend here, I feel the energy, in this room and with this board, and it's just so exciting. It's just so exciting. I see some head nods up and down, so thank you. So a few things to share here. I don't know if Lieutenant Reese told you about my ride along, but that thing did get exciting. It was a Sunday afternoon.
He told me you were
and
nonstop.
oh my gosh, we were, he was like, you stay in the car, sir, I don't want you getting shot for this one. I said, I'm more likely to get shot if I'm in the car. I said, my wife won't be too happy on this. Kind of going back to, I was like, I can shoot and move, go back to my Iraq days, so I will stay out of your way, let you guys do your job. But no, it was exciting, and it all got tied up very nice and neat. So nothing too bad, and prayers for everyone involved. But so I just want to share real quick with a few items here. I met with a few Vietnam veterans last month from the Vietnam Veterans 649 Association, Mike Monahan and Ken Williamson. So I bring this up because Mike Monahan was a dog handler in Vietnam, and they just published together Chico's Promise. Chico is a dog, saved his life, saved many soldiers' lives in Vietnam. But they've started an organization that's adopting dogs all across the country for families. And as you talk about dog parks, I just kind of think that's unique to Union Township. Maybe there's a way to honor someone that's doing great in our community, that's making a national impact, with when we take steps for dog parks in the future. And I also think the structure around potentially what we've in my mind, I think of, we do these community-centered events like that where we don't have a park levy, but there's no reason not to have something similar to what Anderson has with the Anderson Parks Foundation. So we'll put that on part of the staff to research. We have to be out the door with something next week, but the ability to where, anytime when it talks chain link fence, it's not always exactly what you're saying, not, a heavy cost, but there might be a partner out there in the community that wants to make a contribution to a 501c3, and I believe our CIC is already set up as that, but I would defer to the subject matter experts as to how that needs to get set up. But I think that's all about bringing the right resources to, to the staff and to the employees and to the residents. So great initiative. Appreciate that. So economic forecast discussion. The Clermont Chamber of Commerce put on an event, and it was a great presentation. I spoke and shared the board's top priorities, including our staff and our physical office, is being firmly committed to working closely with our county commissioners, Claire Corcoran, Bonnie Batchelor, Dave Painter, our Economic Development Director, Michael McNamara, our Clermont County Auditor, Linda Fraley, all of our surrounding townships, a litany of other organizations, ODOT, OKI, Ready, Cincinnati, Clermont CIC, but all in the sense of collaboration to move our region together, move our region forward together. And a small example of that in action too, for several years the township's been a presenting sponsor, and this year we had all of our directors attend, and the feedback that I received on that collaboration there was the information, though strategic in nature, it allowed them to utilize that information presented to think about moving their departments forward, and also their own long-term planning. So in short, this was an event that was a way to invest in our people, and in return, I believe that they're going to invest in their people all the way through our organization. Additionally, I just think it's a tremendous honor to host and recognize so many businesses and community leaders that were attending right here in Union Township. And like I said, that's something that's been long established, so I'm thankful for the past board that had the foresight to want to sponsor and present that in the past. So they set us up in a position there to excel as we continue to carry that forward. Brings me to a nice segue for Ready Cincinnati. I will be I've reached out to Ready Cincinnati. They are an example, if you're not familiar, I want you to become familiar. Regional Economic Development Initiative. I asked Ready Cincinnati to present to the board next month. My research has shown that Ready and Union Township have never had a formal relationship, and I'd like to have the board be presented with, the pros and cons of that. I believe Ready helps to, significantly close the gap on business and economic development. That is part of their mission. That is what they do. So when you need someone to close the gap, Ready Cincinnati can be one of those partners along with Jobs Ohio. So they have already been extremely responsible for delivering economic incentives to our most significant businesses like TQL, L3 Harris, Multicolor, Sun Chemical, Senco. I got a list of some information from them, and they're already invested in our community, but we need to, I believe, at least explore formalizing a relationship. So I've asked the President CEO, Kim Lauterbach, to come and present to the board, and she'll come next month. So we'll see that for a special presentation. And let's see, in strategic, I also view that there's a strategic opportunity. My next subject here. We've talked a lot tonight about the belief and the ability to communicate more information better. Take things that are complex and make that message simple. So I believe that we've got just a strategic opportunity to deliver, communications capability that I feel has not previously existed, and an ability to digitize and kind of strategically align all of our outward communications. Gentlemen, if you may recall, last month during the purchase orders, I asked the question about the $53,000, if that was going to commit us to quarterly reports and the annual report, as far as, and we don't have an instrument in place where that is, committed, that we're going to do hard copy mailers for the next year. But that's something that, I want us, again, it ties into the strategic planning, to evaluate and the ability, when you look at that in total, $53,000, and the part-time position that was with that $28,000, $81,000. I strongly believe that $81,000 can accomplish so much by leveraging technology and looking forward to new tools. So Susan, I'll welcome any of your research, on that for next steps and for strategic communications. And, I recognize our timeline is, I'll let you present what recommendations make sense, as, again, we fold so much into strategic planning overall. But those are just a couple comments I wanted to share and some thoughts that were on my mind, gentlemen. So just appreciate it and love electrifying energy up here. So it's also opening day, right? Did you want to say go Reds or anything?
I know. I had tickets to tonight's game, actually.
So thank you for skipping out and being here. A little jab that you'd rather be spending time with us than the Reds.
Absolutely.
So, we love you and thank you. And so with that, gentlemen,
Happy Easter.
Yeah.
Just happy Easter, everybody.
Happy Easter to everyone. We'll wrap up and return some time to everyone. As far as the only items left that you'd note if you picked up an agenda at the door was just that the buildings and the Civic Center and Post Office and parks remain open. We'll look at how we need to strategically change that communications moving forward as we start to evolve out of that COVID environment. So at this time, gentlemen, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second. Roll call, Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
We're adjourned at 8:38 PM.
Thank you.